X-Men.
She goes just on this cruise because Destiny left her a note, like, go on this cruise on this date after I'm dead. Because Destiny knew she was going to die, but didn't tell Mystique.
Provided by Alan Chuck Travel.
So she goes on this cruise to scatter Destiny's ashes at Destiny's request. And at the precise moment Destiny has told her to do it, she empties the ashes into the sea, and a gust of wind blows forward, and the ashes blow into her face, and she starts sneezing. And it's a joke.
Yeah.
It's a joke that Destiny left for her. And she's just like, you fucking old bitch. Like, you know, and it's just a very funny, and she just starts to laugh.
Well, it's a good angle. It's a funny new angle to the character, too, to be like, that classic wit Destiny.
Right, yeah, no, that great jokester, Irene Adler. Like, that's not really ever...
Punked me again.
Punked me again, Destiny.
X-Men.
Spiral is doing a portal, and she's like, oh no, the stupid X-Men are coming. Aurora's like 10 miles away.
And Aurora, who's like flying up there, and goes, the stupid what?
Which is great. The stupid what?
The stupid what? It's also, it also makes for like, the scene where Reagan joins the Sisterhood is really funny because she's like crouched at her father's grave paying her respects, which first of all doesn't make any sense because she hates her father. But that aside, there is this really... She turns around because the Red Queen, who is not Madeline Pryor, we'll get into it, the Red Queen, who is claiming to be Madeline Pryor, and her Sisterhood are like, hey, join us. And she turns around and she's like, what's that skank doing here? And it's her sister. That's funny, right?
And then her sister is like, no, skank, I'm here because someone can bring back Dad, skank.
Yeah, she's like, she'll bring Daddy back. And it's like, what? Okay, I guess.
X-Men.
When Mrs. Gwyn, the fairy, finds them, they're like living in some estate that they've inherited, and we first see them just like wrestling, like like pulling each other's hair, and she's just like, can you two stop? They're like, who are you?
And then they try to put her into illusions, and they're just like, she's like, these are the dumbest illusions I've ever seen. And she's like, you have to stop this. I really need your help.
But the implication that they just spend their days like sexy wrestling with each other is really funny also.
X-Men.
All right, Shannon, like whatever you want, you know?
We keep making with the sexy time, so everything be fine.
Like,
everything be fine.
Okay. Yes, it's great. I cannot possibly do a Cajun accent. I feel like no one can. I don't want a child, Raimi. Oh, Cherie, if we do not want a child, we do not need to have a child.
That's it. That's exactly it. That was perfect
There
on
we
both
go. All right,
counts.
good, because I got an IUD.
X-Men.
Rogue comes in and is like, I'll destroy you, Lady Mastermind. I will destroy you. You can't hurt my friend Sage. And so Reagan just pops into Rogue's mind and like catalogs all of her fears. And this is after Psylocke has been killed by Vargas. Don't worry about it. He's like a character you truly never need to worry about, but he's still a present threat at that time. So she makes Rogue imagine that Vargas has killed all of their friends. She then makes she then makes all of the other X-Men look like Vargas whenever Rogue sees them. So Rogue's like, I'll kill you, Vargas, for what you did to Betsy. He's like, you hurt Betsy, I'm gonna kill you. And they're just like, Rogue, what the fuck are you doing? She's like punching Bishop in the face or whatever.
She's like carrying, she's at one point she's like zooming away and like carrying someone, and then it's like, surprise, it's Reagan.
It's Lady Mastermind who you just carried to safety, you dum-dum.
X-Men.
I think now's a good time to make you play my game, which is the Real Housewives game.
Yep.
So if Bobby Drake were a cast member on The Real Housewives of Krakoa, what would his tagline be?
Oh boy. Many are called, few are frozen. And then I was like, I'll make you weak at the freeze the day, the best thing in life are freeze. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the snow.
That's
like that
okay,
one?
that's not bad.
So then I was like, maybe there's some Christian and Emma drama on the show.
Ooh.
So I was like, maybe we could have like, you can watch these other queens in white, but we all know I'm the best in snow.
That has several things going on at the same time.
I trimmed my cubes for this.
No.
No. Snowman is an island, colder and wiser. Be chill, my beating heart. Okay, how about this one? Some boys are friends of Dorothy, but I'm the Blizzard of Oz.
Okay, I'm gonna cut you off right there.
One more. Frosts may come and frosts may go, but at the end of the day, the winter takes it all. Oh.
I need to put a stop to this now before this game was a mistake and I apologize.
I killed it. I killed the game.
No, that was really good. That was really good.
X-Men.
As far as I can really recall, Strife only really takes his mask off for two reasons. And one is to trick people into thinking he's Cable.
Yep.
And the other is when he's with Cable, and like that's when it's intimate.
As a wig reveal. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like dun 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 dun.
Sometimes
like,
it has a sound effect. It has like a hunk shum.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's always a serve. Like it's definitely, it's a reveal. It is the ultimate reveal in Blood and Metal when he first does it, when he's just like, oh, guess what? I'm you, bitch. Yeah. Oh, you thought I was just a bad guy, but I'm you, Nathan.
It's like, what if you were on the Drag Race stage and you revealed you were RuPaul?
Right, like, oh, I'm sorry, Ru, did you not realize that I am your clone from the future, or that you're actually the clone of me?
Yeah.
Where does one of us end and the other begin? Who can say but our creator? It's just that, it's that kind of thing. Like, it's just sort of like, surprise, bitch, I'm you.
Yeah.
There's a great, it's truly like high drama. Like that is camp.
X-Men.
With Alex, it's really fun because their first meeting is she's like, well, we could kill him. And everybody has to be like, no, I don't think so. He's like, who the fuck is this lady? And then for the entire run of their time on the X-Men together, he's like simultaneously terrified of her and also like low-key very horny for her.
Oh, well, like right after Inferno, Betsy's like, I'm just gonna show up to your room in my naked...
in lingerie, essentially.
Yeah. And I'm just,
we're gonna have a serious conversation. Yeah.
I don't understand.
He's like, what is happening? But Alex is just like, why is the British woman in my room in lingerie vaguely threatening me again?
Threatening me, but also seducing me at the same time.
But also, she's so hot and so scary. Yeah. And this is right after his whole Goblin Queen experience. Right. So he just endlessly, first Lorna gets possessed by Malice, then Madeline's soul is lost to the devil, then Betsy is just, he's like, what?
X-Men.
She's like, all right, we'll stay here.
Am I wrong also that they wake up as if they have no memories of being in the MLF? They're
I think so. I think it's just gone.
Sam, how do we get here? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, they're like, what happened to us? And Exodus is like, welcome to Avalon. I guess he's French, right, Exodus? So it's like, welcome to Avalon, mon chéri.
Do you think they're just like, oh man, we should totally pretend like we don't remember, like we're not responsible?
That's what I like to think. Like, because if I had just been brainwashed into many acts of terrorism and I was unbrainwashed, I'd be like, man, I don't remember a blessed thing. It's all gone.
What year is it? Is it 1992?
Who's the president?
Wow.
Right, yeah, exactly. So that, I think, is a good strategy. And if they came up with that on their... I feel like Skids comes up with it and probably just like glances at him like, follow along. Do this. For once in your fucking life. Lie.
X-Men.
They drop the, frankly, insane, we're mutant hunters cover identity that doesn't make any sense, that Bob Layton established and that Louise Simonson tried to.
We're spreading hate to save mutants.
Like, it doesn't, I mean, the only thing that fixes it is Louise Simonson being like, surprise, Cameron Hodges evil, and this was always a terrible idea. You're like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. Like, it's another one of those things where you have to go, well, Jean doesn't have her telepathy right now, because you'd think she would have thought, why are we doing this? This doesn't seem like a good plan. The first time we see what a truly stupid planet is, it's when they bring in Skids. She hears a message that Cameron sends to Warren, and she's like, wait, Cameron Hodge? That's the X Factor guy. He hunts mutants. She flips out. She's absolutely right. It's the most insane plan because all it
Her
does...
reaction is very justified.
Yeah, all it does is inflame human mutant tensions. Like, there's suddenly this wave of anti-mutant sentiment in New York City that comes specifically out of X Factor's TV commercials. I mean, and that's why X Factor and the X-Men don't get along for a really long time, because Storm is like, I don't know what you think you're doing over there, but it's not helpful.
X-Men.
Monet and Gale are attacked by the techno-organic alien beings called the Phalanx. Don't worry about it. Sabretooth helps, but don't worry about it. Then comes Onslaught. Don't worry about it. When they're attacked by the Toad, again, don't worry about it. He's made of plants. Don't worry about it. They're rescued by Glorian, the Shaper of Dreams. Do not worry about it. Creating a tripartite genderless entity called M-Plate. That's M-Plate. Don't worry about it. Housing a device called the Universal Amalgamator. Do not worry about it. An immortal mutant girl named Gaia. Don't worry about her either. Opening a dimensional portal, presumably part of the training the girls apparently had with Gateway. Remember that? Don't worry about it. They're interrupted by the villain called Membrane, like a pun with the brain and a membrane. Don't worry about it. She's never been explained, so I don't know. Don't worry about it. She fights vampires at her new boarding school. Don't worry about it. Now the new White Queen of the Hellfire Club. Don't worry about it. The vigilante Phantomax. Do not worry about him right now. This plot is kind of exhausting. Don't worry about it. Another character took the codename Penance for a bit in the interim, but you really don't need to worry about that. An apparently precognitive 13-year-old. Don't worry about it. Truly, do not worry about it. I forgot to mention Wolfsbane was there at all, didn't I? But she was there. Don't worry about it, I guess. Where he's stopped by Madrox and Layla in the future. Don't worry about it. With Layla now considerably aged up so that a creepy romance plot between her and Madrox can happen, I really don't want you to worry about that. And they team up to fight mutant response division agents sent by the Super Sentinel Bastion. Do not worry about it. Wolfsbane's mystical pregnancy. Don't worry about it. I literally forgot to mention Wolfsbane returning to the team. Hollow reappears in Avengers Academy. You don't have to worry about it. I'm just keeping you posted. He gets better. Don't worry about it. Monet's body is taken over by X Factor's ally Pip Patrol. Don't worry about him either. Then comes all the stuff with the Hell Lords. Do not worry about it. Darwin was absorbed death sense powers from the Dallas Hell. Don't worry about it. Madrox gets better eventually. Again, don't worry about it. Again. During the coming right access. Do not worry about that. But Superman main power. The House of Everybody's Psycho. Do not worry about it. Albert Cameron, parentheses, Jubilee. The Jubilee. The Jubilee. I know the power by default. At least for now. Don't worry about it.
X-Men.
That's part of what I loved about the Morrison story, is that it was her going, you know what? I am God. Deal with it or don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Like, you know what? I've had enough. You're right. I am a heartless cosmic being sometimes. And if you can't hang, you can't hang.
Right. Whenever Xavier is like, no, you just said Phoenix is the cosmic purifier.
You
What
just
did
said
you
Phoenix
mean by
has
that?
come to disinfect the earth. What did you mean by that? And she's like, exactly what I said, Charles. Like, what are you...
Yeah,
did I stutter? You know, like...
Yeah.
One of my favorite things in the Morrison run is when she reanimates Emma's shattered body. And she's like, get up, Emma, my husband needs you. Because she's realized, she's like, my capacity for like dealing with Scott's shit is at a complete zero at this point. So
Right.
his mistress better come back to life, because I can't handle it anymore. Like, it's like, you know what?
Which is so fair.
Come back
yeah.
and you deal with it, because I've had it. I'm ascending to godhood, and you can deal with my husband and his problems. And I just think that's fantastic.
X-Men.
So when Carrie was like, remember when Rogue and Magneto were f***ing for a while? Why don't I do something with that? But like make them recognizable
They were
characters.
explicitly not f***ing.
in the 90s?
No, it is absolutely established that Antarctica is her first time.
Yes, they don't have intercourse.
No.
That's true.
They are
But I feel
together,
like-
and it's what happens in the Savage Land stays in the Savage Land. But
Yeah, I feel like I'm just gonna say it. Magneto strikes me as the kind of guy who likes to eat box. He just does. He seems like that kind of guy.
I can buy that. Yeah.
That's my hot take. I think Magneto probably is big into oral sex. So, in any case,
Good.
X-Men.
Cyclops is like, hey, we need you to go to Limbo and rescue Ilyana. And she's just like, no.
Well, I love that kind of keeps happening, too. It's just like in Ex Infernus and in Hellbound, they keep wanting her to go back to Limbo to get Ilyana. And in Brian Wood's X-Men, it pops up for a quick second.
Yeah.
And every time she's like, no, like...
I don't
you're
want to
gonna
do
make me
that.
that
She's
again? I hate
evil,
that
and
bitch.
she tortured me and took part of my soul.
She's like, do you guys forget I am missing 2/5 of my soul?
Because of, who? Her! That's who, actually.
And she's always looking at Colossus, and she's like, I don't give a fuck that she's your sister. Like, I hate her. And he's like,
And then
I'm gonna
Colossus,
get
like,
you.
trashes Pixie's room.
He's like, I can only do this with you. And she's like, tough shit. Like, get a
Yeah.
better sister. I don't know what to tell
It's
you.
definitely, like, Colossus's emotionally abusive era.
X-Men.
Okay, but even that scene, when she sits down and she's like, yeah, I mean, I think that I just got hit on. I looked at the panel again and was just like, Danny, you're flirting in that panel.
You are flirting with her.
You're the one who's hitting on someone.
I know. Basically, like, Sean is like, I'll have a coffee, and Luna's like, that it? And, like, is flirting with Sean, and Sean's just like, yes, thank you. And Danny's like, I don't know, I just thought, like, and Sean's like, what? You thought that, like, because I'm gay, you would just, like, match make me? Because that's
like
kind
push
of
me
offensive.
towards the other queer person.
Yeah, like, that's kind of offensive. I wish you know. And she's, like, kidding, but she's, like, not kidding.
The Rainfire stuff is really, really something else.
X-Men.
Google Rainfire is REIGN fire, like he is fire
Yeah.
ruling over all. You should Google Rainfire Marvel because I want you to see what this character looks like. He's one of the most 90s beings you could possibly imagine. He's up
He
there
does
with
look very Strife-like.
Strife
too.
and M-Plate, honestly, are like those are the and Onslaught. Like those are the 90s designs I think of as like the most 90s villain designs. He has like weird speech bubbles, so like you can tell he's speaking in a creepy booming voice. He goes, the answer to where Bobby DaCosta has been since he disappeared months ago should have been quite clear to you had you been capable of accepting the obvious. But it can't be. I mean, Sunspot was with us on the mission where we fought you. And then he suddenly like deactivates his
head.
Yeah, he's like pitch black in the way that Sunspot is, but he has like long flowing curly locks and those disappear when he powers down. So I guess
it's like a
just,
Sunspotty wig.
yeah, it's like a solar lace front or something. But basically it is done here as a wig reveal. Like he just like whips it off basically. And then he goes, "It is me. Rainfire is and has always been Roberto da Costa." And he's got scary like vampire teeth and glowing red eyes, but it's Bobby, and everyone's like shocked.
X-Men.
When he takes over the school, he establishes another false identity, which is Michael Xavier, Charles's cousin. Like, hi, it's me, Michael Xavier. And everyone's like, that's Magneto. It has a very, like, American dub of Sailor Moon quality to me.
This was a way that, like, Xavier and Magneto could be married.
Yes, that's exactly it. It's like now he takes the name Xavier and takes over the school. And it's unbelievably gay. And he starts wearing this new outfit that is fabulous. First he wears the trial outfit with his titties out. I mean, that outfit is a little bit... Like the John Romita
That is an incredible outfit.
No, but then it's sort of Vincent Price-esque. It's like very flamboyant, but in a fun way, and doing his thing, trying to control these kids. And he's never been good with children. I identify with Magneto placed in charge of children because I'm very bad with children. And I think similarly, I would be a very confused, flamboyant man in a cape trying to control the New Mutants. I don't think I would be very good at it.
X-Men.
In the video games, the Capcom games, she just sort of like shouts things, but she always sounds like she's in distress. Like she's like, ooh, typhoon, you know.
Is it so stressful, girl? Like, I mean...
She's like, and she's like shooting lightning. I don't know, it's a Capcom game, right? Like Psylocke saying like, Psyblast. Like they all say things when they do them. But for some reason, Storm just seemed very... Rogue's just like, let's do it. We're going to have a good time. But Storm was just really going through it.
She's stressed.
She's stressed out, but you know what? Like, it's fine because she's really OP in that game and it all worked out for her okay. So it was fine. She carried me through that whole little day at player one. I was like, you know what? I forget how to do all these Psylocke combos, but Storm can throw typhoons all fucking day.
The
That's
whole
all
time,
you really
right?
need.
Just
Like,
one
that's
button and you're good.
Yeah, I'm fucking good.
You win.
I've gotten really deep into Zaladane lore. The high drama Zaladane, Savage Land, drag Fantasia of it all.
X-Men.
He is terrifying. In the best possible way.
I love her.
In the best possible way. You know, like, alright. I saw where this is going, so we're just gonna have to set you on fire now. And then she's like, and now I'm gonna burn you to death slowly. So you can remember this conversation next time, so that we don't have to have it again. It's so
love
good.
it.
It's so good. I screamed. And also that issue of X-Men, the Mystique Spotlight episode where she wants her wife back. Irene just being like, so in the future, after I'm dead, and Mystique's like, after you're what? And she's like, not important.
Don't worry about it.
After I'm dead, there's going to be a paradise where they can bring me back from the dead, and they're going to refuse to. And when they refuse to, and they try to explain to you why they're not doing it, they are lying to you, and you're going to have to burn the whole place to the ground. And it's just sort of like, oh.
Mystique's like, I don't understand any of this, but I accept that. That sounds like me.
X-Men.
That's the thing about Madrox specifically, because this has now happened like 4 more times that Jamie dies and it's incredibly tragic, and then one of the dupes pops up and is like, I'm Jamie now. It gets to a point where when he was the first victim to die of Mpox during the Inhumans versus X-Men period.
He was? Oh, God.
He was the first to go, and I just looked at the person I was talking to and I was like, well, he'll be back in like 2 years. They've done this so many times. It might not have even taken that long.
No. Good God.
Sandra Nova at X for the End is like stacked with an unbelievably hot bod and like a skimpy outfit and just like her old lady head. So it's just like Cassandra Nova's titties are sitting. Like it's very much, it's an odd visual.
X-Men.
She's just leaning in, coked to the gills, in this insane outfit with the pussy starburst, and she leans in and she says, hey, I'm Allie. Hey. It's the most bizarre line of dialogue. The look on her face is insane. The costume's insane. The boobs are insane. The point is, Pixie's thrilled.
X-Men.
Keep going. I'm just doing the song.
Thank you. But otherwise, he was just listening.
One was 6 months, one was 3. In the one.
Otherwise, he was just very
I don't
tame.
want to wait. I'm sorry. Continue. I'm sorry. I love a Paula Cole moment.
X-Men.
I hate this training. I don't even know if I want to do this. I'm going to go out to like a pub and get shit-faced and sing. The Juggernaut blows by in a car. She's throwing her big guns at him, right? Like,
yeah, because she's fucking strong.
But she like passes out. He thinks
he's killed her.
Before that, he's like, I'm a huge fan.
Yes, the Juggernaut is a huge Dazzler fan, which is code for a homosexual. Dazzler attacks him to try and prove that she's like a powerful X-Man still. He thinks he's killed Dazzler. Can you imagine? It's 1988 or whatever, and you're a gay man who accidentally killed Kylie Minogue.
Right.
The horror. Welcome to Cerebro.
Like, I'll kill you, Vargas, for what you did to Betsy. I trimmed my cubes for this.
The what? Stupid what?
A homosexual.
With his titties out. But I screamed.
Surprise, bitch! I'm you! Hey, I'm Allie. Hey. What is happening? Don't worry about it.
Let's bring Zaladane back. Gone crazy.
Sexy wrestling with each other?
Why are we doing this?
Magneto strikes me as the kind of guy who likes to eat box.
Go on this cruise on this date. After I'm dead.
And it's unbelievably gay.
Typhoon! Man, I don't remember a blessed thing.
X-Men.
All the Avengers and a couple of the X-Men are meeting to discuss what to do with the Scarlet Witch, who has gone crazy.
And she's like, we need to kill her.
Yeah, Emma's like, what discussion is there to be had? Put her down. And Wolverine's like, gotta be honest, I'm with Emma on this one. And everybody's like, what the fuck? And Emma's just like, she's an omnipotent god who's gone completely insane, and she's going to destroy us all. And guess what? Emma is completely correct, because they don't kill her, and then the decimation happens, and the entire mutant race is fucked for like 15 years. They're like, Wanda's our friend. She's like, I don't give a shit. Sometimes you gotta kill your friends.
Did we learn nothing from the Phoenix? It's like,
Yeah, like I created Dark Phoenix. I know how this goes. It was an accident, but like, like I did that. Emma's just like, so your first time with like a world-destroying entity? Because it's not mine. And the answer is you put her down like a fucking dog before she can eat the broccoli people of Tabari.
X-Men.
Destiny is an old woman in a creepy gold mask with incredible legs
Bare
for
legs,
a
too.
woman who looks about 100. One of the things I've always really liked about Mystique and Destiny is that Mystique, by nature of her power, is ageless. And Destiny looks about 1,000 years old, and
Right.
Mystique still thinks that she's the most beautiful person she's ever seen.
Sarah Paulson, Holland Taylor.
It's very Sarah Paulson, Holland Taylor, except that they are actually the same age.
Sarah Paulson and Holland Taylor.
No, I mean Mystique and Destiny. So
yeah.
there is this thing where it's kind of like the vampire problem, where in a vampire romance, it's like, well, they'll stay at the same age forever, and I'm going to get old and ugly. And it's like, Mystique could not care less about that.
X-Men.
Emma will punch a Nazi. Like, Emma is that kind of person. Emma gets in a bunch of bigots' heads, and she's just like, I'm erasing the entire last month from your memories. Also, the next time you ever have a thought that you are going to do something nasty to any person with less power than you, gay, disabled, trans, whatever, you're going to become violently ill. And that's going to happen to you for the rest of your life. So enjoy, toodles, bye. And people were just like, oh my God, that's like such an abuse of her power. I'm like, Emma doesn't give a shit. These people suck.
X-Men.
So wait, am I allowed to ask you about Avengers versus X-Men? Did you?
That is, so...
X-Men.
Scott asks to speak with Warren privately. He's like, I'm sorry, it's kind of serious. And Warren picks Scott up and flies off into the sky. And Scott's like, ah! And Warren's like, let's chat. And then Candy turns to the professor and is like, we've got fixings for lunch if you guys want lunch, I guess. Like she's just like hostessing instinctively. Just like,
I
well,
love her.
We've got company now, I guess. Charcuterie, anybody? Like, do we want to get like some hors d'oeuvres going? I could call the caterer. So
she's the best.
X-Men.
She knows that he's the angel, and like she's not stupid. So later in the story, is Bobby in danger? She's like, I think he's probably going to be fine, because she's like,
Yeah.
I think he's Iceman because I can put two and two together.
I think he is.
Yeah, like, he's not the one with the big feet or the girl or the one who wears the glasses. So I think he's Iceman, right? Like,
X-Men.
So out on the balcony, she walks out and she goes, oh, wow, that's a sentinel. And so I'm just like, look at my well-informed queen who is a mutant ally. Like, she knows exactly what that is. She's like, that's a sentinel, Terry.
She is.
You ever seen one of those? Remember him? Bolivar Trask? It was in the news.
I love her so much, and she is such an ally. And the way that Warren is the beautiful friend who wouldn't be weird about his buddy having a crush on him.
Right.
Candy is an ally to all
mutants.
mutants. Yeah, you guys do your things.
Candy's here. Candy loves Warren. Candy clearly thinks you're all human beings, and we're fine.
She's one of the first people to call it out every time. Like,
Exactly.
Candy Southern is literally like the Jane Fonda of this.
She
comic
kind
or
of
something.
is.
Like, she
Yeah.
shows up and she's just like, she would 100% tell people off.
No, don't talk that way in front of me, sir. She'd be like, mutants? My friends are mutants. My lover's a mutant. It would become a whole thing. And she's like, and even if they weren't, sir, I would know a mutant was a man, a person like anybody else. It would become a whole soliloquy.
X-Men.
Literally, the one person he trusted has now killed his girlfriend, and he murders Hodge.
His wings. The wings.
Yeah, the wings
lash
do
out.
it because he still can't control them. They're still dealing with the Dark Phoenix thing, and so a nice way to let Warren kill people without making it his fault, because that was their issue with Jean, was like, is oops, your wings did it.
Whenever people think about Archangel, you have to remember slicing people in half, firing like neurotoxin feathers. That's brutalization. The rest of the X-Men are like, knock the people out, get them out of the way. But it's just him and Wolverine at this point that are like, no, stab things, make people bleed.
Yeah.
X-Men.
Toad is there with him, and that type of Toad that's sort of like, yes, Master, you're the best. I love you.
I love working
Magneto,
for this,
I love you. I know you'll take care of it.
Fascist who abuses me constantly. I love it. Which is why it's fun later in the 60s when Toad gets fed up and tries to kill Magneto, which is great because it's like he finally is like, you know what? Actually, it's like Toad leans in. Like Toad realizes, like, I don't deserve this hostile work environment.
X-Men.
When they're trying to hunt Penance, and she's just like, I don't know, there's no way we can catch him at all. And he's just like, look at all these clues you're missing. You need to like slow down.
Actually, pay attention, Paige, perhaps. And
she's like, oh, right, fuck.
She's
right.
like, what do you mean? Oh, there are clues. I didn't notice the clues. Hold on, I will look for clues.
X-Men.
When you describe her power to somebody who doesn't read comics, it sounds cool as fuck, in my opinion.
It is cool, but
it's also like disco, lights, music.
Yeah, like the way it was presented on the page.
You know, she spends like the first 5-6 years of her powers just like making people dizzy, you know?
Right.
Like she's not really firing lasers consistently until like Claremont gets his hands on her.
Claremont's like, wait, she's a gun though.
Yeah.
She's literally a human gun. She should just be shooting people.
Right. Right.
X-Men.
She coughs
Anyone
up
says
a
in
baby
that
in a
book.
basement that's a wolf, and then Terry
And then
screams
notably,
at
Terry
it.
screams at it and it flies out the window, which is great.
Yeah, and she's like, "Oh shit, was that your baby?"
That mouth baby monster deserved to be screamed out the window. He then ruined the entire book for the next 40 issues.
Yeah.
So I'm good with it, honestly.
Terry was
Truly
right.
yeet that baby into the stratosphere with a sonic banshee scream. I'm all about that, frankly.
X-Men.
When she and Callisto have that duel, all the other X-Men are just sort of like, Storm, you can't do this, or whatever. And Storm is just like, y'all have no idea. I grew up on the streets of Cairo as a thief. She has a fever of like 104 because plague touched her. So she's like all fucked up and she doesn't use her powers at all. And she stabs Callisto to death with her own knife. And then like Healer saves Callisto's life. But Storm is just like, oh, I'm sorry, you thought. Like, you thought. It's not long after that she does the Mohawk look and has her like self-discovery bisexual journey with Yukio.
Right. Depowered Mohawk Storm is my favorite Storm.
When she defeats Cyclops for leadership of the team with no powers. It is one of the most awesome issues of the X-Men ever. Like, that is so fucking good.
X-Men.
X-Men villains up to this point, they are lawful evil. The Hellfire Club are hyper-capitalist criminals. Magneto wants to create a new world order. Apocalypse wants the strong to survive.
All of these villains came to live on Krakoa.
These are all characters who you can find common ground with if you are a mutant. Cassandra Nova is chaotic evil at its most terrifying. She has no humanity in her. There is no higher rational authority you can appeal to in her. And she wants nothing more than destruction.
X-Men.
The Shi'ar believe in a concept called the Mumadrai. In the womb, we battle on an astral level the Mumadrai and kill it. Because Xavier's mind was so powerful, his Mumadrai was able to constitute a body, and then he sensed that she was a creature of evil, and he killed her. then the cells that were her clung to the wall of a sewer for 40 years, feeling nothing but hate, and knowing that she would build herself cell by cell, and then she would destroy him. And that's Cassandra Nova.
X-Men.
Well, that's a thing about Illyana. Psychics can't read her mind. That's actually why I think she bonds with Magneto in a way she never did with Charles, because I think that Charles is very perturbed by a person he can't read.
Because he's a piece of shit.
Well, he's similarly perturbed by Madeline Pryor, who he can't read for reasons he can't figure out.
But meanwhile, it's like, okay, they're traumatized, Charles. Can you stay out of their head? Like, that's why.
Madeline's like, I don't know, I was the only survivor of a fiery plane crash where I was the pilot, as far as she remembers, that's true. And he's just like, well, I can't read your mind. That's mysterious. It's like, why are you trying to read her mind? You just met this woman. There's no reason to be doing that.
Get out of there, fucking weirdo. I hate Charles.
X-Men.
The best part is Rachel goes, "You killed him, you stupid bitch. I can't believe you did this. Where is the humanity?" And Celine goes, "Stop. Wait, do you even know his name?" She's like, "I know this man's life inside and out. He was born in 1963, blah, 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 blah." Like, it's like, you don't even know him. And Rachel's like, "Wait, how did you do that? How do you know this? What the fuck?"
And Celine's like, well, because I absorbed his soul. His name was Nick Damiano, by the way. Did you even ask? Rude, frankly. You were staying in his house. I ate him and I remember who he was. You're all mad about some guy you never bothered to ask about himself. Little selfish, Rachel, little self-absorbed.
While she's being strangled by Rachel's TK.
Yeah,
Like,
well, she's unbothered.
Yeah, she's just like, she's like, "Who's the bitch now, Rachel?"
X-Men.
She runs out into Central Park to the Ramble, which is very funny.
I know.
If you know anything about...
Yes.
That's a cruising zone for the flat scans. So it's just a funny Chris Claremont, like, wink.
Right.
But instead of gay guys cruising for hot sex anonymously, actually a woman being threatened by
She's
a
like
mugger.
getting mugged.
And then Celine goes, "Tonight, oh man, Celine does you the greatest of honors by taking your misbegotten life essence for her own." Sucks all of his energy in, and then suddenly she's hot again.
Yeah.
And she goes, "But to have to remember such a creature as this, Schmach." Now she has this guy's memories.
Yeah. And she's just like, yuck.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. "Yet such is the price demanded for my survival, the experience of the lives of those I slay, no matter how foul." And then the woman who was attacked looks up at her and goes, "You saved me, thank you." And then Celine goes, "Or innocent." And then you just hear the woman screaming because Celine eats her too.
X-Men.
Okay, bear with me. Siren is pregnant, and government official Valerie Cooper, iconic girl boss, don't worry about it, we'll get to her eventually, is keeping an eye on the pregnancy. When Siren goes into labor, Julio decides he wants to give her some privacy, so he grabs a gun and starts shooting at random to distract the government agents. Val gets shot in the crossfire, but it all turns out okay in the end. All in a day's work for Marvel's most suicidal mutant.
X-Men.
Sauron unleashed this army of dinosaurs. And the army of dinosaurs turns out to be Staten Islanders that they have turned into dinosaurs. And that leads, of course, to the greatest exchange ever. He says something along the lines of, wait, you can change DNA on the fly? With tech like that, you could cure cancer. And Sauron says, but I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs. And that is perfection. You know, Spider-Man's here is going, oh, with great power comes great responsibility. And Sauron is saying, I think not. I am a villain. Look closely at me. I am a pterodactyl man. I am not about to make appropriate life choices. I am not someone who does things that work out well.
I'm here to turn people into dinosaurs. That's all I'm here to do.
X-Men.
The Purifiers are after Soraya. Laura conks her on the head, knocks her out, because at this point they're very good friends. Laura then puts on the niqab and abaya and acts as a decoy because she does get fucking sniped in the head. I guess Laura dresses Soraya in her clothes. Like, Soraya's in like a little tank top and is clearly like, what the fuck's going on? Why is my hair so freshly curled?
Laura just like putting Soraya and Carla.
Well, I gotta make sure she looks cute. She steps out and is just like, the Muslim? You're dead.
You're dead.
And that is like, she looks at him, her eyes glow, and she says, Turab. And then suddenly he screams. This is not New X-Men style discreet. These guys just fucking skeletonize as she rips them into fucking pieces and
there are
flays
no
the
globs
flesh
of
from
meat.
their
She
bones.
is pissed off.
No meat whatsoever. Shit, just skeletons, baby. And they're all fucking screaming and shooting at her, but it has no effect, man, because she's just a fucking sandstorm and you're fucked. You're fucking fucked. She doesn't want to do it, but she'll do it.
If you test
If
her,
you call her,
will...
if you're like the Muslim, you're supposed to be dead. You're fucked, my guy.
Oh, am I? Okay.
X-Men.
The whole arc with Mystique where she's truly unhinged, which I enjoy. Like the one where she becomes a student at the school and tries to seduce Gambit because she thinks Gambit is no good for Rogue, so she's going to break them up herself. And it's fully outrageous.
It was all soap opera, wasn't it?
But your Rogue and Mystique storyline comes right after that. It's like, Mama, not right now. We'll talk about this later. You know, like, you're ruining my life. We need to get on the team. We're going to go fight pandemic. It's going to be fine. You know, like, it's just a very funny tonal shift from the Milligan run, like between issues, just something like, all right, okay, remember that? We're done. We're good with that. The soap opera plot's over. Now we're going to go fight these post-human scary people. And Rogue does not want to talk to her mom right now for reasons. We don't have to dwell on it.
X-Men.
But it's kind of cool to have him, sort of confront Exodus with that, with the argument that basically are we allowed to swear on this?
Yes, as much as you fucking want.
Great. We fucked up massively. Yeah, we're supposed to be the smart ones. We're supposed to be the idealistic ones. We're supposed to be the ones with a vision. And what have we done? All we've ever done is beat each other bloody.
X-Men.
She's like, all right, where's the knife, Eliphas? I need that ritual knife. He's like, I'll be right back. And then he pulls Blink aside and he's like, hey, so I actually lost that. So we need to go back and get it. And can you do that with me? And just like, don't tell her.
Blink
and Blink
is
like, okay. And then grabs him and teleports back into Celine's throne room. And he's like, wait, what's going on? And Blink's like, hey, he lost the knife and tried to get me not to tell you. And he wanted me to just go get it myself. So
okay.
X-Men.
Reagan is just like, oh, I have an idea for how to solve this. She throws him an illusion so that one of the children sees a couple of the other children as the X-Men and he burns them alive to death. And they're like screaming and burning to death. And Rogue is just like, what the fuck are you doing, Reagan? And she's like, what?
She's like, the same thing I did to you. With
right,
the
like, this
multiple
is what I
burns."
do. I'm Lady Mastermind. You hired me. Like, what were you? This is my whole shtick.
Oh, it's so good.
X-Men.
Well, they make out at the end of Morrison.
True.
On the grave, which is iconic, frankly. Emma's in that chic fur hat. Love it. Personally, I think making out with Jean Grey's husband on her fresh grave is iconic. Don't come at me, Jean fans. It's funny. It's bold, let's say. It's like murdering a pony so that you can trick a teenage girl into killing your Hellfire Club rival. Like, it's a bold move, and I appreciate a bold stance. I also like when Jean ate all the broccoli people. That was bold, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I like when characters take big swings. So...
X-Men.
I actually really love Lorna in the Austin run.
Yeah, it's really, really bad.
But
you can find moments of fun in it.
Like Lorna threatening Nurse Annie with scalpels. Hilarious. Lorna transforming her wedding gown into a Magneto suit and trying to kill everyone after she's dumped at the altar. Hilarious.
Yeah.
Lorna telling everyone at her bachelorette party that she's not marrying Alex because he's good in bed, but because he's reliable. And then saying that she never fucked Bobby because you don't have sex with Bobby, you endure him. Hilarious. Lorna just straight up killing people occasionally, and everyone else just being like, Lorna, we don't do that, we're X-Men. And her being like, oh, right, sorry, I forgot. I went to Genosha and witnessed a genocide, so I don't care what happens to these bigots. Hilarious. She's great.
So we have to talk about She Lies with Angels. So Warren dumps her. Paige is like, rotten hell, Warren. Like, you know, and then they get back together. He's like, I'm sorry, babe. Like, I just, I care so much about you. And then they fly off into the sky.
and
their clothes off.
their clothes begin falling from the sky. Lucinda looks up and is like, oh my, and like goes back in the house.
The scene continues to be like a bunch of robots blowing everything up, and they're still in the sky. They don't notice any of
They're
it.
so busy just rutting in the air that they don't notice the chaos unfolding beneath them. Warren and Paige fuck in the sky, and like I love that for them, I guess. Like, get it, girl. But in front of your mom.
Yeah.
X-Men.
They're attacked by the Marauders, except the Marauders are invisible. And
Wait, no. You have to rewind a little bit of like, first they're like, they give Omega Sentinel a virus, right? Like,
it's
like,
malice. It's malice. Omega Sentinel is
like, open. Yeah, she's like typing on it. They're like,
Omega Sentinel's checking her emails or something, and suddenly Omega Sentinel says to herself, "Don't ever open an attachment," like or whatever. And then it turns out it's Malice, the psychic marauder who possesses people, who has upgraded herself into a computer virus. This will never be explained. But then, like 2 scenes later, they're all sitting around, and Logan realizes the Marauders are in the house because he can faintly smell them, even though they've been disguised somehow. Cannonball's like, "I don't get it. Like, why can't we see the Marauders?" And then Reagan, who's just been like sitting casually on the couch, goes, "Oh, sorry, that'd be me." And then just like snaps her fingers, and the Marauders appear all around them because, of course, Mystique and Lady Mastermind have been working for the Marauders the entire time. And then Mystique just turns and shoots Rogue in the chest.
X-Men.
He really is everyone's like Uncle Gambit.
Right.
There's a great moment where he supercharges a train in Otherworld, and Betsy, who has been going through it for this whole book, grins with teeth super huge for only the second time in the entire book. The first time was when she was dancing with Rachel at the gala, just putting it out there. And she's just like, "Remy LeBeau, you are a crazy man." And he's like, "You love it. Toot all aboard the Gambit Express." And it's just like a really sweet moment where he just brings her joy.
X-Men.
David Elaine, Prodigy, we'll get to that. But first, you're about to get him on the Astrid Bloom tangent.
When we talk about the girl that gave your girl everything she knows.
Allegedly! Men are stupid, as it turns out, I'm Jonathan Hickman, bitch.
Oh, because the gays are slutty.
Like, the thing about Pyro is that he's nice, and like, I say him like a bitch.
Sunfire is a bitch.
Fuck the Fish King! Live your best life!
When your grandma is in the cell for shit she tried to do, locked up with her face like a cabbage.
Dazzler shows up and it's like, there's a straight person here.
She gives you the final runway drag look.
I'm made of steel and I got wings.
Is that a tail?
I'm a telepath.
Very smart, loving the suit, but I'm going to need you to cite some sources.
Bitch, none of this is true. None of this is true.
Divorce, babes.
Ignorance is bliss, and sometimes I would like to be a little happier.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
Endless war crimes. Can't stop. I mean, Wolverine's community dick.
I love the digressions. I do love
Well, that's how this show works, though. We always get back on track eventually.
X-Men.
Rogue is fighting Strong Guy.
That Moira has set up blood sports in the pit.
Everybody else is cheering like, get her, fight, punch. And Terry says, "Oh God, not her beautiful face." And then later in X-Force, when she has to seduce Vanisher, don't worry about it. She's like, "I'm going to tie my little top up. I'm going to put my boobs out. I'm going to shorten my skirt. And I'm gonna be Rogue. I'm gonna embody Rogue. I'm gonna put on her accent." Apparently, in her mind, that's the hottest fucking.
The hottest chick she's ever seen is, who's sexy? Rogue.
And I think it'd be funny now if they're like at a party or something, and Terry goes up to me like, "Oh my God, I had such a fucking crush on you when I just first joined." And Rogue's
that would be fun.
Rogue's like, "What the hell?"
Rogue's like, "A lesbian crush? I had no idea." Not in a homophobic way, just like, "I did not even think about that."
Yeah, she's like, "Remy, I was that girl's gay awakening." And he's like, "I see it."
Ah, chérie, Gambit is every man's gay awakening. And then they go off to...
Yeah, it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
That's all.
X-Men.
Cameron Hodge at this point is a severed head attached to a cyborg robot body.
No, not just a cyborg body. He has his whole cardboard cutout.
He does hang a cardboard cutout suit in front of the robot body so that he feels like he looks chic.
I fucking love that cardboard. What is the point of...
He loves a suit and he can't wear one anymore because he's like a weird Gundam with a human head. The other thing is that during the Inferno, when Warren cut Hodge's head off,
his wings. The wings
the wings do it.
Hodge also, though, had made a pact with the demon Nastir. Nastir makes Hodge immortal, which he just apparently can do that. So Hodge is immortal. So after Warren cuts his head off, his head just goes like blink, blink, and comes back to life. So now it's on this robot body. Hodge is like, you can't kill me. I'm an immortal head. And so Richter just brings down a whole building on top of him and is just like, then you can just be crushed under a building for eternity, I guess.
X-Men.
Soraya is the target of the Predator X, which is this
Predator
thing
X.
the Purifiers send after the mutants. But specifically, Rizman, the one survivor of the Flayfest, gets an old veil of hers or something and like gets the Predator X to get her sent.
Predator X.
The Predator X is got her
You gotta
sent
say it
now.
right.
Predator X has the scent. Predator X runs off to the school. Then she's tending to the graves of all those kids who blew up in the bus. She turns the corner and the Predator X has dug them up and is just munching on them. To save all of the injured mutants in the medical bay, Pixie ends up teleporting them all to the only person they know who can kill a Predator X, which is Laura. So they all end up teleported to Muir Island, where the X-Men and X-Force are fighting with the Marauders and the
a
Acolytes.
melee. It's a melee.
It's a whole mess.
X-Men.
I thought the woman at the bar was Sienna Blaze. It turns out it's actually Andrea von Strucker.
Ooh.
But so I was like, why are you talking to Sienna Blaze? And then I realized it was she Fenris. And I was just like, Jenny, not only did this woman kill you, she's an incest Nazi and you need to walk away. Like, because Jenny's been dead. She doesn't know who this woman is.
Right.
They're like just like two mean blondes talking at the bar. I'm like, Jenny, I know you're a mean girl, but like Andrea von Strucker is not
There's
not
Mean
the
and
way.
then there's Strucker.
X-Men.
Listen, I'm happy for the Wiccan and Hulkling people, but the idea of two gay kids getting married at like 21 or whatever is fully insane to me. I mean, okay, like for a throne, would I? Maybe. I'm not a monarchist. I'm speaking very hypothetically. I'm just saying, am I becoming the Empress consort or whatever? Like, sure. In that case, like, get in your bag, Billy. That's fine. But I can't. I'm 33. I don't even have a boyfriend right now, much less a husband. My God.
You also have to like adjust for inflation. And like for us, like maybe the throne is like Nissan Micra.
Sure. Yeah. I'm like, do you have a condo?
X-Men.
Samson, he does like therapy
He interviews
sessions
all of them.
with all
and
of
then
them.
He's like, nothing that I got out of them is anything like the profiles you wrote about them.
Lady, you are so backwards. Like, you don't understand any of these people. He's
You're also bad at your job.
And he's like, go think about it. And then she does. He sends her to like fully HR training. And then an octopus abducts her.
Yeah, so then she runs away and she's upset. And she's like, maybe I should quit. And then a tentacle monster attacks her. They wrap around her arms and legs and mouth. She goes, and disappears. And Doc Samson like steps out of his office and is like, Valerie, like, where are you there? You know, Doc Samson, weirdly hot.
Oh, no.
X-Men.
Elias Bogan, his big trump card is like showing the X-Men Sage murdering all these murderous bandits.
Yeah.
And the X-Men immediately just go, who cares?
Yeah, Bishop goes, we've all done that. It's
We've all
fine."
done that. Rogue even says, Rogue's like, that's why Storm tapped us to be the extreme X-Men. Like, every single person on this team has killed lots of people.
Yeah.
And Bogan's just like, but don't you think she's evil? And they're all just like, no. He didn't even cut out the part where they murdered those women.
X-Men.
You know that Claremont's taken over because the first story is like, a demon attacks the X-Mansion.
Right. It has an Angara demon and a woman storming in while holding a submachine gun.
With a machine gun, which is Moira McTaggart. So Banshee tries to kill the Ngarai demon with a sonic blast, and it doesn't work. And Moira says, well, if sonic blast'll do nae good, let's see how yon Kelpie fares against close-range machine gun fire. And it goes burp, and she's shooting a machine gun next to a door marked Armory. We never see the X-Men's Armory again, but I'm glad they had one in this instance.
X-Men.
a little cute domestic scene of Shatterstar cooking breakfast for Richter, dressed only in an apron.
I loved that bit.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
Karma comes storming in to like ask Richter where magic is, and she's just like, and can you tell Shatterstar to put on some clothes? And Richter just looks up at her and is like, no.
No, I cannot.
No.
I refuse.
Which, love that for them.
X-Men.
Sunspot brings a whole thing crashing down on them. And Forge says, couldn't you have predicted and prevented that, Destiny? And she says, I saw the blow coming and chose not to stop it. Those bricks won't hurt Stonewall nor Avalanche through his armor or affect the outcome of this fight. But Spiral's humiliation is balm to my soul. I find her totally insufferable. But she's like, no, I just let my team get their shit rocked because I love when Spiral gets knocked on her ass. I hate her.
I love it.
Also,
Yeah.
Spiral would be insufferable. You're a 120-year-old woman who's really logical and really meticulous, and Spiral, who is literally a walking engine of chaos, is dancing
Yes.
around them. She can't stop dancing. She's always
time
dancing.
traveling-
She won't shut up. A time-traveling, dimension-hopping sorceress. That would be so annoying.
Yeah, the worst.
X-Men.
Basically, Sam goes to meet Lila. She surprises him with like a little crystalline figure of herself. Power move. And he immediately assumes she stole it.
Right, because she's a thief. She tried to steal the whole planet that one time.
They get into a fight.
Because she's like, actually, I made it as like a gift for your mother. So
Yeah.
cool that you assumed I stole something. She's being a little unreasonable.
It's a reasonable assumption to be like, you stole the
You
pretty
steal
thing,
things all the
didn't you?"
time. That's what you do
Yeah.
for a living.
The bit that I really love at the end is he's waiting outside for his mom. He's waiting for Lila to get there before knocking. And Lila teleports in wearing the most outrageous outfit in the world. And Sam's just like, oh golly, oh geez, my mom's gonna hate it. But then he's like, I gotta, I love her. And unhealthy in a relationship, she was testing him. Deeply unhealthy. Lila, do better. But she teleports back wearing like a normal outfit.
A pretty conservative outfit if she's like,
Yeah.
here to meet mom.
Yeah, and it's sweet.
X-Men.
What is gay life like on Krakoa?
I keep saying I want Christian Frost to open up a little gay bar called Homo Superior. We all love the Green Lagoon, but sometimes you want to go to Homo Superior. And like Wednesday is this ladies' night, Karma and Gimmick and Bling and Mercury and Loa. And it's like all like L-Word style, like everybody's drama, except for Karma, who like they're all so much younger than her that she's just like,
right.
She's just like wandering through like, you kids okay? Like, girls, you need anything? Don't let Gabby drink. She's 14, you know? Like,
right.
This kind of stuff would be cute.
X-Men.
There's a really important moment when Rogue absorbs all his memories and thoughts. And she's like, I know all his secrets now. And that's the way she phrases it. She's like, I know all his secrets now. Then when she loses her power through like Loki's malfeasance or whatever, and she wants to test it, he volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
She kisses him and goes, I'm touching him and nothing's happening. It's a double meaning, right?
Layers.
Because nothing's happening down south because he's not into this kiss,
Right.
right? Like that's the joke. But also they have this weird bond afterward because she knows he's gay. I mean, first of all, again, she was raised by a lesbian couple. She gets it. Like, you don't gotta say nothing, sugar. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Fairy Prince of Asgard. Like, she gets it.
X-Men.
They meet on the astral plane and she apologizes. She's like, there's no excuse for what I did to you and I regret it. She's still like pretty evil.
Yeah.
Like they're still having like an I'm your evil mom
Yeah.
conversation, but like she doesn't do the thing that villains often do where it's like, it was for your own good or whatever. She's like, no, honestly, like I lost my fucking mind and tried to kill my child and I regret that deeply. Like that was fucked up and I apologize, but now we can be together. And then he's like, no, sorry, evil mom. Like we're not going to do that. And then there's the later one. Now Madeline's a ghost in the astral
Yes.
plane. She drags sort of astrally Scott and Nathan to that Alaska dream space to protect them from what's going on. She's again sort of like regretful only about what she did to Nathan. She's like, shut up, Scott. I'm not talking to you right now, which is great.
Scott deserved it.
Yeah. And then Scott's like, well, Madeline, if you really feel this way, come with us and help. She's like, I'm dead. What are you talking about? Are you paying any attention?
X-Men.
Sunfire gets arrested and deported. And the X-Men are standing there watching him cry over the body of his dead father. And Jean says, we may as well go. There's nothing more we can do. And it's like... Come on, guys.
That's very Jean.
This is a mutant. And Warren is like, if only we could have reasoned with him, reached him in time somehow. He's kneeling right there. Scott says, maybe the next one, which there isn't going to be a next one. The book gets fucking canceled.
X-Men.
Iceman tries to go back to his parents with a girlfriend because he's taken Opal and they were so racist. This time he brings Rogue, and Rogue is kind of like, why are you bringing me to meet your parents? I don't even really know you, Bobby.
Look at the image of Rogue on the splash page, which she's like literally naked. She's like
Yeah,
wearing
she's
these little
essentially
booty
nude.
shorts. Yeah, she can do that because she knows Bobby's never gonna touch her.
Right.
Bobby is just like disgruntledly looking at Rogue being like, why aren't you helping change the tire?
Rogue also notably has two moms. She gets it. She knows the score. So it's like, all right, I'll have the lesbian's kid come with me who like won't ever try to touch me because she would kill me if she did.
Yeah.
And we'll just have a nice dinner with my parents.
But she spends 5 minutes with Bobby's family. It's like, oh, you're bigots.
Like, oh, I hate these people.
Yeah,
These
and
people
Bobby-
are fucking bigots. You live like this?
Right. And it's like, it's Rogue in her 90s form, which is basically Dolly Parton with the powers of Superman, where it's just like, fuck this. Like, I'm out of here.
X-Men.
Warren talks to an eagle and he lands and he's like, Candy, the eagle just told me something incredible. And she's like, you can't talk to eagles. That's not a power you have. This is never explained.
He's like, oh, right. Yeah, I can't, right?
Yeah, that is odd. Warren doesn't question it whatsoever. He's like, that bird and I spoke in bird language. And Candy's like, you can't do that. That's not a thing you can do. She goes, you're not Dr. Doolittle. This is so good.
X-Men.
She's like, I need to make my illusions even better because, like,
I
guess,
need some
like,
practice.
Like, Jean Grey negged her, and it's just like, your illusion's stuck. No, they don't.
So there's this little gay lizard X-Man called Anol. He's like, oh, no one will ever love me because I'm like green and a lizard. And it's like, Nightcrawler does fine. You're just like, you're green and scaly. Like, it's not that big a deal. And he's like, I'm hideous. It's like, you have a big claw. It's fine. Like, what? You just got buff. Anyway, the point is, he's going on a date and he's like, oh no, like the guy on the date, he won't like me because he'll see that I'm a lizard. And it's like, you didn't tell him you were a lizard up front? Because I feel like that would come up on the app. So Reagan is like, wow, this kid's insecure. What a perfect guinea pig. And she traps him in an illusion. She gets knocked unconscious by Anol this time, and she's just unconscious again for the millionth time.
X-Men.
I really love how Polaris is being characterized in Duggan's X-Men run. I've been calling it her Jewish American princess era.
Oh my god, yeah.
Well, she really is like living her best. Like, she's showing up with her coffee. She's like, I have to have my coffee. Jean, this is disgusting. What are we up to?
In Trial of Magneto #1, when she throws in his face that his daughter fucking died.
It's very much a fuck you, dad.
Yeah, it really is.
It's good. Because Lorna's right, is the thing. She's just being really fucking mean about how she says it. And then, of course, he is being absolutely horrible to her.
X-Men.
The Nuff Said month where everything would publish a silent issue. Morrison and Quitely were just like, well, this is going to be the issue where Jean and Emma go into Professor X's head and it is just like surreal, like nightmarish dreamscape for a full issue.
It's so
perfect.
good. The Hickman Giant size that is like a sequel to it. It was so good.
I loved it.
A perfect synthesis of Morrison and Claremont while also being something new. It was like, we're doing this homage to the Morrison issue, but they're here to rescue Storm, which is about as Claremont-y a shift as you could have from them being like there to rescue Xavier.
X-Men.
When he's written well, Exodus is a person of integrity. He's like, I can't be bribed. I can't be bought.
Right.
I serve the pleasure of my people. That's how Mystique convinces
You
her.
have to convince me that what you want is the most important thing for our species. And Raven's like, guess what, bitch?
It's destiny.
It's destiny.
And he's like, yep, you
He's
got
like,
it.
you're in. Because there's nothing a Christian mystic of the 13th century loves like a fucking oracle.
X-Men.
Kimura is a walking bundle of trauma for Laura.
The abuser, she's been genetically modified to have indestructible skin.
And then beyond that,
Laura has been programmed
programming.
that she cannot harm Kimura. Emma finds her and is like, I'm not going to kill you. because I'm trying not to do that.
I'm getting past my butter rum phase.
What I am going to do is, I just jumped in your head, and I've seen that there is only one person who ever loved you and was kind to you your entire life, and that was your grandmother who died. And she's gone now. I've taken her from you. All of those memories are gone, and you will never remember them again, but you will always remember that something is missing. And Kimura starts to cry and is like, what have you done? And Emma just walks away like, don't come back to my school.
X-Men.
Even though Moira has lived all of these lives and she has a general idea now of what she needs to do, she's still making it up as she goes.
They're not play acting. She's not having them act out things that have already happened. She doesn't know what's going to happen. She only knows what has happened in the previous lives. So when Jean comes back and is like, I'm the Phoenix now, Moira's probably like, fuck, well, I've seen the Phoenix. All right, Lorna, go to the kitchen. I gotta do some tests. And she does some tests while Havoc and Lorna are like off doing whatever it is they do when they're not on page for years at a time. She's like testing Jean's power levels in this chamber. And Jean's like, Moira, are we almost done? I gotta tell you, this is becoming kind of a drag. Jean is so scary.
You have to imagine now that Moira is having this moment of, because like, okay, this looks bad, but wait, maybe we can turn this around.
Jane is the most powerful telepath we've ever seen, and now she's the Phoenix, Charles, so we gotta deal with this. What are you gonna do?
Maybe this can be a good thing.
So it's not good, is the answer.
X-Men.
After Dark Phoenix, Jean is dead. All right, we're going to marry Cyclops off to a woman who's not Jean, but who has some similar qualities.
Well, and she's got a very different personality from Jean. Like, the fact that they look so alike throws everyone for an absolute loop.
He asks her, because he can't resist, like, are you Jean? Mm-hmm. And she punches him across the face. It is a defining character moment sort of for both of them.
X-Men.
So Banshee, he looks really hot, but he's unfortunately lost his mind because Moira died, allegedly. Decides to set up the X-Corps. And it's essentially like pretty fascistic and bad. Like, Xavier's dream isn't working, so like, me lucky charms and I will create peace throughout the world through strength. Nothing to see here. We're just like gonna police mutant kind. Stacy leans over to Chamber and she goes, you know this Irish cop? They're all perturbed by Banshee's weird fascist turn in this story.
Yeah.
But they're not doing anything about it.
And there's this constant, we know this isn't him. And she's like, I don't know him. What the fuck is this?
And he's a fucking psycho cop.
Yeah.
And we need to do something about this. The Gen X girls show up here. And they're like, we're here to keep an eye on him and make sure he doesn't do anything too evil. And it's like, guys, like...
The evil's happening.
And she's absolutely right. It's like she turns sort of directly to the reader like, you guys looking at this? You guys seeing what's going on? But not in like a Deadpool way where she actually breaks the fourth wall. You just know that if you were there, you'd be like, I know, Stacey, this is crazy.
X-Men.
This book is about a bunch of decimated mutants becoming a new version of the New Warriors under the leadership of Night Thrasher 2. I fucking forget. Like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm not a New Warriors head, except for like the real classic era when Silhouette was just like on her crutches beating the shit out of guys.
Except for the one great New Warrior, Firestar.
We're not talking about her.
This is a Firestar podcast.
Nope. No, it's not.
I'm a Firestar stan. I'm a Firestar
This
stan.
is not a Firestar pod. We are not doing this right now.
You are constantly going, I am not doing a Firestar episode.
I know.
She's not an X-Men character.
I know.
And like you are correct. She's
a New Warriors character and an Avengers character. Angelica Jinx will have her day, and today is not that day. Let me tell you that.
Justice for Butter Rum?
You're still mad about the horse?
Butter Rum round 2.
The fucking horse? Angelica, really?
X-Men.
We're in a fantasy castle, Raimi. What should we do? And he's like, I don't know, Sherlock. What do you want to do? And she was like, you want to steal stuff? And he was like, this is why I love you. This is why you are my wife. And so they just like raid Saturnine's closet and they find a big jewel in it. And he goes, oh, wait, God damn it. Zut alors, it is Kendra. And like Kendra suddenly is like wrapped around him like a ghost. And it's like, hey, sexy, it's me again.
X-Men.
When mutant kids die, Emma is shattered, Magneto is shattered, and Charles can find a way to move on.
Charles is like, which Guthrie was that? Put a gun to my head. I could not even tell you Match's real name. You know what I mean? Like, who the fuck is that kid? Wolf Cub. Who the fuck is Wolf Cub? No disrespect to Rubbermaid and Dryad and all those kids, but like, who the fuck is that? That's Armor over there. Exactly. I couldn't tell you jack and shit about Armor. Here's a girl with blue hair, and here is a fairy. I don't care what's up with X-23. Leave me alone. There's this little gay lizard X-Man called Anole.
He has like a giant Popeye arm, right?
I don't like Anole, but you know, you could do something with him, I guess. Donald Pierce kills Wolf Cub. Don't care. Moving on. Oh yeah, only like 20 of these made it out alive. I still find it difficult to care about most of them. My kids were Kitty and the New Mutants.
Right.
And Rachel, I guess. Honestly, that bus is one of the best things that anybody's ever...
X-Men.
Issue 5 of the Williams and Baldeon X Factor, because it's in the wake of Morrison's new X-Men and there are so many more mutants. These kids, more than any other generation of X students, represent the promise of Krakoa in the sense that Krakoa can bring them back. Krakoa can make them whole. They are with their friends again. That moment where there's like 100 of them standing around in the boneyard is very moving in that sense, because you think about it and you're like, oh yeah, only like 20 of these characters made it out of that book alive. So I'm very happy for all of you.
X-Men.
He leads them all into battle with the classic New Mutants. Dust comes at Magma, and Magma, who knows this girl, by the way, Magma whips around and just blasts lava at her and turns her into glass. It's like, Magma,
why don't we talk? Why don't we just communicate?
So Dust does shatter, but Magma is like, oh, wait, hold on, let me melt the glass. So it turns out she's okay. Point is, even though she did survive Magma's assault, she now has like sand cancer, and now her body is slowly turning into glass. Also, X-Men get possessed and fight each other all the time. You don't shoot to kill instantly. Like, what are you thinking? Dragoness is camp.
X-Men.
Her power is just to zap people with her fingers, and she decided, no, I'm going to fully be Dragon Lady. I'm going to make myself this iconic Asian villainess, and got robot dragon wings. Like, it's not part of her mutation. She just decided, I will be Dragoness.
She went to Celine for some PR advice.
She wanted to theme herself. And by God, she did it.
On fire describes her as, who are you who burns with the flame as white hot as my own? So he's basically saying, like, I wish I could be as attractive to men as you are, Dragoness.
Yeah.
There's also a completely random moment where, like, Cannonball makes out with Dragoness, and it turns out that it's like a trick to, like, steal a key from her, and then Boom Boom gets mad and makes out with Cannonball. All the while, Shiro is, like, also tied up next to them, just like,
X-Men.
Oh, I love Gambit, Bobby, but I can't touch Gambit because I will kill him with my powers because my powers will absorb his psyche and all of his energies. And then, like, I accidentally touched Gambit because I thought we could touch because a moment happened in the plot, but we couldn't. And so I absorbed all his memories, and now I know he has an ancient dark secret that he won't tell me. Okay, I found a man who will love me despite my inability to have sex with him or to touch him or kiss him, etc. And I thought I would be happy for the rest of my days. But it turns out he helped murder a whole bunch of innocent people.
Not Remy's finest moment.
You are a sexy daddy, but I need to leave this prehistoric jungle and go back to a place where I'm not having sex with a terrorist.
X-Men.
When Cyclops tells her, form your own strike team, and she says, okay, I'm going to choose the most bonkers assembly of people you could possibly find.
Okay, Cannonball, Cable, who is looking like an absolute snack in this arc, I must say. And then Iceman, who, like, that's fair, but, like, Iceman is a liability because he's a mess, right?
Right.
Over the course of this mission, he ends up fucking Mystique. And it's like, Bobby, come on. And then the rest of the team is Mystique, Sabretooth, Lady Mastermind, and this is, again, it's Rogue, right? So Rogue and Reagan have a history together, which is fun.
She thought they were just multiple Vargases.
And Karima Shapandar, the Omega Sentinel, who is literally a Sentinel robot.
If there is one person you do not want on your team, it's someone who calls himself the Omega Sentinel.
Like, yes, to be my X-Men, including the Omega Sentinel.
Weird flex, but okay.
X-Men.
The fire is hot, the orphans are made, rest your pretty head. We both know what comes next when all bad parents lay dead. Drink, drink from Nanny, wet your thirsty tongue. Drink, drink from Nanny, then we free the young.
X-Men.
She's a girl Wolverine who's like a fun teenage girl, and she's got claws in her feet. Several people now on Twitter have tried to explain to me how the foot claws could retract, but they must be going clankety clank every time you run, right? Like you're running around and clank, 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 go her foot claws. Snick, 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 go her hands.
Okay. The thing with Laura is she doesn't have the full skeleton.
Right,
She
it's just the
has
claws.
The claws and just the feet. It's not going to rattle. It's just one metal thing.
I just feel like her feet would go clankety clank. I understand that clearly they don't, but, you know, it is hard for me not to just picture her going clink, 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 clink.
It's a very fun visual.
It's a funny idea, right? So I'm a little bit attached to it, but it's fine. She's clearly learned to adjust to not clank her feet around. You know, trained to kill from birth or whatever. We'll get there.
Oh boy.
X-Men.
Vulcan has stolen the Blackbird and he flies it toward the plane that Banshee is on. And so Banshee jumps out of the plane and starts like sonic screaming over, except his power is so fucked up now that he gets crushed as the Blackbird explodes the plane.
It's an unfortunate death.
Not to nitpick here, but there's a Z-axis when you're flying, right? Like he could have just dropped or gone up.
And that's that.
Yeah, so he's dead, and that was 2005, and he's been dead ever since. Just to give you a brief overview, he comes back briefly in Krakoa, then there's Chaos War, then he pops up in Uncanny Avengers, and then he pops up in Rosenberg's Astonishing, like very recently. And then he comes back in the 2019 soft reboot, House of X and Powers of 10, by writer Jonathan Hickman.
X-Men.
Her name is Irene Adler, like the character from Sherlock Holmes. Also, it's Irene Adler and Raven Darkholme.
Oh.
And it's revealed that when they met, Mystique was using a mail presentation and was working as a detective.
Right.
Mystique is Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes and Irene Adler got together and were actually immortal mutants, and Sherlock was a woman, and they've been lesbian terrorists for the last 100 years. We frankly have to stand.
X-Men.
We're in Japan because it's a Chris Claremont story. Mask has created an underground mutant gladiator ring because it's a Chris Claremont story. He gives Callisto a bunch of tentacles.
And she loves having tentacles.
She loves having tentacles.
Loves it. Basically, Chris Claremont writes the most pornographic X-Men story I think he has ever written.
This is a naughty women in prison gladiator movie porn. This is before the mouse got its hands on Marvel Comics. This arc is insane. Basically, Yukio and Storm team up with Callisto. They defeat Mask, who was going to sell them all to Telemore Vosge, an alien slaver that Claremont kept trying to make happen. This leads to the very iconic panel. Callisto has literally stepped out of a closet. And Kitty says, "You came out of the closet?" And Callisto says, "At the time, it seemed like the thing to do."
X-Men.
She found out she was a clone. She was told she no longer had a purpose on Earth, so she sold her soul to the devil by accident. But once she found out what she'd done, she was like, you know what? I'm all in now. Let's end the world. Let's just do it. Yeah. There's that new Florence and the Machine song where she's like, like, yes. Okay, then I'm going to kill my husband and my child and end the world on an altar of blood and like, fuck you, basically.
Yeah, because I have to let you know I'm a real person. I have to let you know because you can't ignore me.
Reject this reality if it implies that I have no value.
Fuck me, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you then.
X-Men.
The other thing about Bobby is, you know, people talk about how he had female love interests, but then you look at who they were and it's like, every homosexual in the world wants to date Polaris. Are you kidding?
Right. Dating Polaris makes you
Dating
gayer.
Polaris is gay. Like, it's the gayest thing about Alex Summers, who typically is a pretty hetero character, but the fact that he's constantly dating Polaris and Madeline Pryor is really gay. And then they introduce Darkstar, who is much like Polaris and Emma Frost and every other woman that Bobby Drake is attracted to, kind of a drag queenie character.
Yes, her hair is...
Yeah, it's enormous.
And Bobby goes straight for it.
And she's not really feeling it.
All of Bobby's exes, they work retroactively, right?
Because he's gay.
Oh my God.
I mean, like, that is the thing.
X-Men.
Celine is really just 17,000 years old and a bitch and a dominatrix. Over thousands of years, Celine has ruled empires. She has been the focus of cults. She has been worshipped as a goddess. She has a hereditary line of priests that continued all the way to the present. She can turn them into dog people by waving her hand. She's got a lot going on. And all she wants to do is tell you stories.
Like, I want to know what happened in Babylon. What was she doing in Babylon?
What was she doing? Was she at the tower? Did she watch the... She was like, that's a mistake. Somebody's going to get pissed.
I want to know, like, what her conversations with Lot's wife were. She was like, babe, you gotta turn around.
If you look, I'm promising you won't turn into a pillar. That was a total joke. He's just kidding. Look, I'm looking right now and it's fine. Just do it. Just do it. Come on. Just a second. Just 1 second. Turn around. Ooh. Oh, pillar of salt. Oh. Sorry, babe. Wasn't sure. Wanted to test it.
X-Men.
Shadow King possessed Val to go kill Mystique.
Mystique has been apprised by Destiny in a note
that this would happen. But is this where Val shows up and Mystique looks like Val?
Yes.
So she put on her little Von Dutch hat, was ready to punk her again, of course. And then
yes. And then it's like,
you're here to kill me.
It comes across, oh, Val fucking killed her. And then there's a great little twist that Val, because she is so strong-willed, was able to divert the Shadow King's will and she shot herself instead of Mystique, which is fucking metal. She is not going to let a man force her to shoot somebody.
No.
It's just not going to happen. So Mystique calls Nick Fury up at S.H.I.E.L.D. and is like, hey, Val just shot herself. It's complicated. Help. The inspiration was someone saying that they listened to us and imagined it like drunk history. And Krakoa was like, I could make that.
Punked me again, Destiny. I'll kill you, Vargas, for what you did to Betsy.
Yeet that baby into the stratosphere with a sonic banshee scream. Surprise, bitch! I'm you! Oh, wow. That's a sentinel. Yes!
Let's bring Zaladin back.
But I don't want to kill cats. I want to turn people into dinosaurs.
I trimmed my cubes for this.
Hey, I'm Allie. Hey, the Juggernaut is a huge Dazzler fan, which is code for a homosexual. Dating Polaris is gay. You came out of the closet? A lesbian crush?
Predator X. You killed him, you stupid bitch.
The stupid what?
I'm touching him and nothing's happening. Don't worry about it. Oh no, like the guy on the date, he won't like me because he'll see that I'm a lizard. And it's like, you didn't tell him you were a lizard up front? Because I feel like that would come up on the app.
Provided by Alan Shuck Travel.
I don't care what's up with X-23. Leave me alone. Iconic girl boss.
Okay,
Don't come back to my school. Clank, 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 go her footballs.
Drink, drink from Nanny.
Kind of a drag queenie character. Now Madeline's a ghost in the astral plane. As far as she remembers, that's true.
And she punches him across the face.
I reject this reality if it implies that I have no value. There's a Z-axis when you're flying. the Gambit Express. Who the fuck is that? Has to analyze. This will never be explained.
This is a Firestar podcast.
Nope. No, it's not.
Stars?
It's just not going to happen.
Maybe we can turn this around.
You can't do that. That's not a thing you can do. Omega Sentinel is
they're like open. She's like typing on it. They're like,
Omega Sentinel's checking her emails or something. Look, I'm looking right now and it's fine.
I need to put a stop to this now before.
Welcome to the Cerebro Animatics 1-year anniversary, and this is number 100. I know, Stacey, this is crazy.
X-Men.
Cleopatra? More like Cleopatra, and everybody's like, Celine, and she's like, oh, I'm sorry, we don't body shame anymore. I forgot. I'm sorry, I'm old. I'm getting used to all you Gen Z kids and your political correctness.
Rent free.
Yeah.
Is that what you kids say? Rent free?
You want to hear all about this fucking loser I pwned once? And everybody's like, we don't say pwned anymore, Celine. Like, she's a total noob. Thinks she's the Phoenix. Celine tries to stay on top of the trends. She walked into the Hellfire Gala and went, it's giving. Mastermind looked at her and was like, what?
She also saw the giving share meme.
She's like, I'm giving share all the time. That's all I do is give share.
That's all she does. Celine is a gay icon. And
she is. No, she literally is a gay icon.
She
is like Cher. She's one of those gay icons where it's like old gays are always trying to explain to Gen Z gays why they matter. And then the Gen Z gays see something and they go, oh no, I get it now.
X-Men.
I think that she should take up a seat on the Quiet Council.
Krakoa would be gone. Apocalypse coming back and everything's on fire.
You seated Celine? Well, we needed someone old. That was what that seat was for, and she's really fucking old. And he's like, yeah, have you noticed that every empire she rules has gone up in a fiery inferno? Oh, yeah, because she's not good at this. Could Krakoa make a volcano? Just curious, because I would love to throw, occasionally, just once, and we can bring them back right after, move them up the queue. But if I could throw a virgin into the volcano every 3 months, that would be great for me personally.
Her throwing magma into the volcano.
Over and over. That could be a bonding experience for that.
X-Men.
Rachel sneaks into Celine's room and it's like, look at Celine. She's sleeping so peacefully. You wouldn't even know that she's a 17,000-year-old vampire.
Set the scene, because this is an incredibly important characterization moment for Celine.
Oh, right. Right next to Celine's bed is a little mannequin dress form with Celine's outfit carefully laid on there.
Celine walks in at the end of a long day, strips off her corset, her tiny little panties, and her elegant cape, and hangs them carefully on a dress form mannequin beside her bed. Because I guess, I don't know, it's like a security blanket maybe. She just wants to turn if she wakes up in the night and be like, still there, my couture dominatrix outfit.
X-Men.
Celine's like, I need power. I don't know where I'm going to get power, but I would like some. I'm in this concrete jungle of yours. I've been in the actual jungle for like 3,000 years, so I need a little help here. Where am I going?
Mm-hmm.
And so he decides, well, the Hellfire Club, Black Queen position is vacant because the whole Dark Phoenix thing didn't work out so hot. And then he brings her before Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
And she displays a lot of scary powers, godlike feats of mystical strength. There's just too much magic going on. They're not comfortable. They have never had a Hellfire Club application go quite this way. Tessa is like, oh, this is really, really bad. Selene goes, would you like a further demonstration? And he's just like,
Tessa, what the fuck do I do?
Tessa, analyze. Okay, my analysis. This is a bad situation, and you need to de-escalate this situation so that we can kill her privately. And they let her in immediately. But they spend the entire 80s trying to figure out how to kill her.
X-Men.
Selene says, your callousness, Friedrich, nearly caused my death, but I offer you this opportunity to atone for your transgression. And he just bends over and goes like, ah, and like becomes a dog man. And she goes, find her blood scent. Friedrich says, as my goddess commands.
And everyone's like, what the fuck just happened? Why is he barking?
Sean's like, what the fuck is that? Tessa, analyze. And she goes, most probably a specific voluntary transmutation talent akin to lycanthropy activated through some psychic interface with Selene's own power. That's how we did it in ancient Anatolia, bitch. Anyway, he does manage to track down Rachel, but Rogue is trying to help. So Friedrich tears Rogue's costume. Oh no! His bare skin is touching mine! Immediately, Rogue absorbs von Rome's power, his memories, the totality of his psyche, and since he was Selene's slave, she becomes the same. Your blood, your heart, you wretched girl, are mine! And soon, so soon, your soul will belong to my goddess!
What are the rules here?
This is something that happens to Rogue sometimes, like minds that are more powerful than hers, and in this case, I guess it's Selene's mind influencing
There are a lot of
Rome's.
minds more powerful.
Unfortunately for Rogue, there are a lot of minds more powerful than Rogue's. Then Rogue goes, what? And suddenly she is wrapped in rock and earth. This prison of rock should hold you.
Also, Kitty's like, what the fuck? Like,
what is going on? Why is any of this happening? I hate it.
It was like, why does this vampire have the power to turn my friend into a feral child?
Kitty sort of is like turning to Chris Claremont, like, can you explain her powers? Because we're very confused.
X-Men.
She starts sucking down all the mutant souls.
Right.
And she grows to huge size. There is an iconic panel. You just see Selene's giant god ass.
Every wizard on the planet starts feeling like her ass.
Selene's mystical Brazilian butt lift is so profound that all the mystics and sages and warlocks and wizards around the world experience the agony of her ascension.
Yeah, they all get migraines.
Yes, she starts to grow and grow and grow like one of those pieces of fetish art on DeviantArt. And Selene is now just a giant ass as far as we can know. Like you see her face, she's like, ah! But like she has become one with the cosmos, and the cosmos is now in her glutes.
She's also blue.
And then Warpath stabs her with the dagger, and it kills her.
X-Men.
Selene hires Boom Boom to run her social media, trying to go viral on the TikTok. And Boom Boom's like, okay, here's the dance. Like, you have to do the dance.
Selene gets to the point where she has too many followers, too many reactions. She's just like, should I eat some?
And she's like, we don't do that anymore. It's like a rule. She's like, right? Yeah, no, that's true.
Wait. Who is Selene DMing on Instagram?
Lisa Rinna. Selene is all up in Kristen Stewart's DMs. Kristen Stewart even have Instagram? Probably not. She doesn't seem like the type.
Selene is DMing fake Kristen Stewart.
Selene is DMing a Kristen Stewart catfish account.
If Selene had Twitter, she'd be like, LMAO, not this. Not me being killed by
me being killed by a dagger made of the bones of my own mother. Not my giant ass exploding.
Not me being killed by a ghost dance.
Not an appropriative ghost dance sneaking through my mystical senses.
With like crying emoji.
X-Men.
Also, like, don't you think Selene gave all of them their nicknames? Selene was probably like, you know what? I think this sounds nice.
Has anyone ever beaten you? And Anushka's like, no. And Selene's like, I think you should advertise that.
Yeah, she's just
giving
like,
them PR advice. I mean, I feel like she probably helped Apocalypse with his branding. Like, look, I feel like maybe blue, like armor, like a suit. Maybe you need like a look.
She's like, I think we could really, really go for something better.
Right now, you're just a gray person, but you could be a gray person in a blue suit of armor. And he's like, sure, I guess.
X-Men.
And Selene is 12,000 years older than Apocalypse. So it would be really great if they go to Apocalypse's stronghold in Egypt, and then you see like a wall mosaic, and it's like all these Egyptian people and like a couple gods with animal heads, and then just like this white lady in a corset, and everyone's like, huh.
This dominatrix.
Who is this? Yeah. Archaeologists are mystified by this strange leather-clad babe in the ancient Egyptian mosaics.
Right.
Next to it's like hieroglyphics that's like, don't let this bitch into my house.
X-Men.
Apocalypse has a history of just preying on these men who maybe just needed a little push toward becoming gay supervillains. Nanny outsold the Avengers
a little bit. The thing to remember about 90s stories is they're more about a vibe than
If you ask me to remember an issue number of Academy X, I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself. I think I could fix Magma. He must have then taught her English.
She's fine. He
must have been like, hold on, let me tap you on the forehead like I did with Ilyana. I completely forgot to do this. And I can't touch nobody, but I'm so horny. Back when Cerebro just kind of went beep, beep, beep. And it was like, this is not helpful, Cerebro. Bishop says, in a hurry, Esme? Because he's Australian, remember? Beto comes from Brazil and Sean comes from Vietnam. Or Ilyana comes from hell.
Hey, I'm Ali. Hey.
The Apocalypse twins, the children Warren had with the final Horseman of Pestilence.
When you put it that way, yeah.
Please see the Omega Red episode, as I simply refuse to talk about the carbonadium synthesizer in any detail ever again. Now, like, the age gap between 17,000 and 18 is obviously problematic, but...
Colossus, he's like, oh, I am sorry, my friends. Like, I did not mean to be an evil communist for a minute there. I'm now just a regular communist again.
Okay, well, it turns out your wife wasn't real.
Turns out your wife's an evil demon and she's not even real.
They're straight characters that are just heartwarming.
They're allowed. Straight people are allowed to exist.
X-Men.
We cut back to Japan. Revanche is basically torturing Matsuo psychically, and she's like, tell me the truth. He says, even though I'd lost your soul, I still had your body. When I discovered that your minds had been switched, I realized my plans had been betrayed by another. Then I decided that having your body could be enough.
When he was like, well, I got your body and, close enough,
I thought I could trick her into believing she was you, and then it would be like you were back.
Yeah.
And she's like, wow. Wow.
It's just so shallow. Like, you're an ass.
He sucks. This guy sucks.
Yeah.
He says, and now, Butterfly, now that your memory has been restored, can we? And she looks at him like, are you fucking crazy? I have failed you, my love. Yes, Matsuo, you have.
X-Men.
Do you not know anything that's happened in the X-Men in the last 10 years? If it's important, we'll tell you. Otherwise, don't worry about it. In the 2019 soft reboot, House of X and Powers of 10 by writer Jonathan Hickman, they're on a new mutant nation called Krakoa on the old island from Giant Size X-Men, and they can come back to life now. That's all you really need to know. Yeah, and you're like, I'm in. Got it. Great. Cool. They also have a checklist in the back that tells you exactly what order to read them all in, and they put it out in a trade paperback format now. Just these little tiny trades that collect all the different books together if you want that. Now, you can get them digitally in these trades also. This is not an ad, though. If Marvel would like to sponsor this podcast, I will sell out in 10 seconds. So give me a call. When people ask me, how do I read the X-Men? This has never been easier because my other ones, it's like, well, here's all the different ways you can read the Claremont run, but like, here's the reading order sheet that you need to have. And like, no. You just start with House of X, Powers of 10, the event that launches the new era, and then Dawn of X, Volume 1, and you follow it all the way through to the end, which is the event 10 of Swords, and then Reign of X starts, and you just keep going.
I have to assume that they've realized that they have to do this. They need to make it easy for people to like actually go and figure out who the fuck these people are.
If I were Kevin Feige, I'd be thrilled.
X-Men.
Irene foresees Rogue will have her powers taken away unless they tell someone to go after her, in which case that person will be depowered instead. Raven makes the choice to send Storm after her, and Storm is depowered in Rogue's place. And Irene confronts Raven about this. She's like, Raven, did you warn Storm in my prescient vision that whoever goes to Rogue's aid will suffer the fate meant for her? And Raven says, don't be absurd, Irene. Of course not.
Yes.
And Irene says, Raven? And Raven says, this was a perfect opportunity to both save my daughter and cripple my foremost enemies. How could you have expected me to pass it by? Raven counters that Irene herself had not moved to stop Raven. And Irene, with tears in her eyes, admits she was cowardly because she loves Raven and Rogue. Shapeshifting into a male form, Raven insists Irene let the future take care of itself and spins her out onto the dance floor.
X-Men.
There's never been a gayer moment for Rachel than her dating a man, ever, because it feels so wrong. I would love to just explicitly say the only reason I was into Corvus is because his sword was my mom.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was actually just the Phoenix that bonded us together.
I was just into
like,
your weapon. It reminded me of my mom. Compulsory heterosexuality is a real bitch. Oh, I can love him. He carries my mom around in a sword. Like,
totally.
Rachel, just be gay. It's fine.
X-Men.
Once again, Magneto comes to this man's rescue and is not appreciated. Magneto burns out Frenzy's eye.
Yeah, with a laser, because she tries to kill Charles.
Exactly. And Magneto's like, nope, you're not going to do that.
Joanna is his most loyal acolyte.
Absolutely.
She's his right hand.
Absolutely.
But the second that she tries to kill Charles, done.
Without a second thought. He apologizes for nothing. He just does it. She's riding around
He's like,
on the
you're
floor.
done. Only I get to kill Charles. That's my husband.
X-Men.
Do you know this story about Hank and the house cat?
No, you were going to have to educate.
Hank finds a mutant cat lady in the woods, and she's like dying or something. He's trying to help her, and Jean is able to determine telepathically, and this is after Hank has like fallen in love with her at first sight. He's like, she's like me. This is Cat Hank era. Jean is like, Hank, this isn't a mutant human, it's a mutant cat. And he's really embarrassed, and then the cat dies.
I mean,
and that's it. It's one of the most insane stories I've ever read in an X-Men comic.
Okay,
the cat has boobs. It's like a very mutant cat.
Is it human shaped?
It's human shaped, but it's a cat. This story is.
Does it talk?
No, it just makes like cat noises. It's a lot.
We're a step away from Cat's Eye, who
I was just Cat's Eye is a human mutant who thinks she's a cat. This is an actual mutant cat.
Because I was under the impression that Cat's Eye was a cat.
No, Cat's Eye was raised by cats and so believes that she is one, but she's actually human.
I mean, I feel like that distinction becomes very important when Hank McCoy wants to
fuck you. Yeah, no, absolutely.
X-Men.
Every episode of this podcast is going to feature a portion where we go, also, this character should be bisexual.
I think every character should come out. It's the fucking X-Men.
If you were to choose one male X-Men character to just reveal his bisexual very
absolutely
casually,
ready. He has chaotic bi disaster energy.
Rachel is the gay Summers to me. Like, they're all gay, unfortunately. But like, if corporate is going to give you one,
that's the one you want.
Yeah, Rachel, just be gay. It's fine. Like most Claremont best friends, they feel like they should kiss.
Pyro used to be gay.
Pyro still is gay. Which, by the way, another member of the Freedom Force is called Stonewall. So just come on, guys. Avalanche, Unis,
Pyro, Flop,
all of them. They're all gay.
Before that, he's like, I'm a huge fan.
Yes, the Juggernaut is a huge Dazzler fan, which is code for a homosexual. It's like almost homophobic to say the serial killer can't be bisexual.
They literally have like a fist fight in the middle of the mutant massacre, and they like get soaking wet, and like there's lightning striking in the background, and Callisto's like, you are a goddess, you still are this person. And I'm just like, kiss.
Shout out Disney if you're listening. If the overlords in the floating space palace at Disnopolis are listening, Sunfire should be gay. Should be gay as hell.
He is gay. They should just say it.
I'm not saying it would be normal, but I'm just saying I think they should kiss. I'm sorry. I'm just going to be controversial. I think Cable and Strife, it's complicated.
X-Men.
Spiral is the right hand of Mojo. Body shop, bitch.
One thing I have for you, bitch, is time. Spiral is a space-time sorceress. He wears his sins like a shroud.
I am Spiral. I am the time dancer of death.
Oh, God. Spiral is the universe's foremost plastic surgeon.
Do you want big titties? Do you want a hot ass?
Uh-huh. You want women, bitch. You're gay.
Well, yeah, no, too.
Do you not want new eyeballs? I gave you some anyway. Spiral is a dancer.
You idiots. Google it.
My God.
Olivia Rodrigo is the creation of the Mojoverse. She's got 6 arms. Scrolling through the notes.
Yeah. Okay, anyway.
So, she's got a big samurai hat on for no reason that's ever been explained. Nothing to Spiral does has a purpose to it. It's funny, though. She uses a bunch of swords. You're listening, Fabes? I love you, Uncle Fabian. King, my king. A jumpsuit with cargo pockets in it.
The body shop clothes.
The body shop clothes. When she's working. And boots with the fur.
Also, the boots with the fucking fur, bitch.
Boots with the fur?
Yes. Boots with the fur. I think it's the boots that are iconic.
The boots with the fur. The boots with the fur.
Oh my God. Apple bottom tights, boots with the fur.
What is it? I'm shaking in my gorgeous furry
Oh
boots.
my God.
I hope you're enjoying this absolute show.
Then dance! Spin your spirals!
Dance! Dance to stop the dance. You may not stop it. You may never stop the dance. You don't stop the dance. Dance.
Don't interrupt the dance. Don't interrupt the dance.
Don't interrupt the dance.
Don't interrupt the dance. God, what the f***
What am I
happened
listening
me?
to? We're like an hour and a half into this, and I don't know what is going on.
No one's had a coherent thought in 90 minutes.
She calls her Psylocke Psy-Witch.
You can tell Betsy's like, I've never been called this, but I feel like I'm being hate crimed right now.
That's cute. I'm going to ruin your f***ing life.
Macho.
Because you suck.
Major Domo is voguing in the battle pit.
Bitch. Spiral can make you pussy. The one thing you must include is the boots with the fur.
You have to include the boots with the fur.
You need boots with the fur.
You need boots with the like. Put some fur. No, do a Shirling boot aviator. Yeah.
Betsy Braddock faced me like a true ninja, and for Betsy, like, what the f*** are you talking about?
Major Domo watching the screen back home. Since when are you a
when were you a ninja? She's cool,
She's
but like
6 arms and she's been fighting forever.
But she's not a ninja.
I choose yes to Spiral.
Furry boots and an outfit that's good to dance in. That's all you need.
Justice for Spiral. What does that mean? I'm not super sure.
Marvel Comics presents Hunting Firestar.
X-Men.
It's after the Firestar miniseries where Emma kills that horse.
Oh, Firestar's going through it right now. So mutant capturing is still legal. Firestar's on their wanted list. Spiral pops up, hates
And it's like, we're
this
registering
bitch
mutants now,
down.
bitch.
And Firestar's like, what?
Who is this six-armed freak
and Spiral,
beating the shit out of me
and,
for no reason?
And Spiral's immediately annoyed that Firestar's asking questions.
She's like, excuse me, I'm doing my job.
She was like, I don't know why the fuck I'm here either. Someone told me to beat your ass. I'm doing
Honey.
it. Firestar's dad tries to save her, and she says one of my favorite Spiral lines, You don't interrupt the dance!
As she stabs him.
And Mystique's like, Spiral, it's enough. We're not supposed to kill her. And Spiral's like, I don't care. I hate her.
I hate her.
She's a little spoiling princess. Spiral has only interacted with her once.
One time.
One time. And the first thing she has to say is, I don't know, this bitch has bad vibes.
Bad vibes and I want her dead.
I want her dead.
The iconic resolution is that Mystique helps Firestar fake her own death so that Spiral stops coming after her.
Just like Spiral's gonna kill you.
Yeah, well, it's like, and if Spiral thinks you're dead, she'll forget about you for a couple days, and then she's on to something else.
And it works. Spiral never gives a fuck about that bitch.
Ever again. If you ask Spiral,
who is Firestar?
She would be like, I don't fucking
know.
know.
Who is Firestar quickly?
She'd be like,
I don't know.
Nothing to say.
She would be like, I've been in and out of every universe. I don't think that bitch is this.
Firestar's furious that Spiral doesn't
You
remember
stabbed
who she
my
is.
dad.
You stabbed my fucking dad.
Who are you?
Spiral's like, wow, you're so obsessed with me.
So obsessed with me, Little Red. You seem prissy. I want to kill you.
X-Men.
Professor Xavier fast-tracked Sync as one of the people to resurrect. They were worried that the Five would become exhausted and risk the resurrection process burning out their powers or whatever.
But Sync could be used as redundancy.
Exactly. If Sync walked in, someone could take a break while Sync copies their power. So they brought Sync back as one of the first resurrections. And when he didn't adjust immediately to the weirdness, they said, well, he has a friend who died who's from the same class. Let's move him up the list also.
Sync needs a therapy dog.
They fast-tracked Skin so that Sync would have a companion as he worked through his issues.
Not because of who you are and what your abilities are,
right,
and what your value might be, but because your friend is sad and needs someone.
So here's my read.
Non-canonical.
It was a suggestion that Emma made because she actually wanted to move her students up the queue. So I think that she would be like, Charles, if he's having trouble adjusting, bring Angela back. He's delightful, because somehow she also finagled all of the Hellions being back already.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have, Cat's Eye, God love her, I'm a huge fan. She's not an Omega level mutant, she's a cat.
X-Men.
If Connor were to get with a woman, I feel like she and Storm would really vibe because she is 10,000% Storm's type.
Mm-hmm.
Hard-nosed, no-nonsense assassin. And it would be really funny because Storm was never into Betsy. Storm likes a woman who is fun, who can kill people with her bare hands, and who likes a leather catsuit. And they don't need to talk too much about Felix.
But you know who would be there for it? Rachel. Rachel would be like, tell me more. I love to talk to you.
I love that. Right, yeah. That's why when Rogue is like, why can't anybody help me find Betsy? And Rachel's like, don't say that. You know I love Betsy. And I'm like, do you? Tell me more.
Tell me about this love for Betsy that you have.
I also love when the two of them are watching evil clone Betsy stand on the shore in her very filmy nightgown. And Rachel's just like, well, it seems like it's Betsy. And it's just how much have you observed Betsy's form in her filmy nightgowns, Rachel?
X-Men.
Desperate, Victor approaches the X-Men for sanctuary and ends up tapped by Rogue for her emergency strike team. This is where Romulus comes into the picture. Who is Romulus? He's an ancient, apparently immortal feral mutant who is retconned in from the Wolverine origins stuff, and it turns out apparently everything Sabretooth ever did that was interesting was under Romulus's orders in order to torment Wolverine. Do not worry about this because it's terrible. In the Jason Aaron storyline, Wolverine Goes to Hell, in which Wolverine goes to hell, Sabretooth is in hell. But it turns out the dead Sabretooth was actually a clone, and Victor comes back because of Romulus. I almost stopped the character file here and just finished it with the AOL dial-up noise because I have truly had it with this one. Wolverine teams up with Romulus's twin sister Remus. Why not? Victor assassinates the head of the Yakuza. Victor and Mystique convince the entire Japanese underworld to name them as leaders of all organized crime in Japan, which, sure. The first X-Men miniseries happens here, and I refuse to cover it. It turns out Sabretooth hunted Nazis for a while. His life is a life of contrast. Anyway, then he's working with Wolverine's son Daken. They kidnap Evan Savener, the young clone of Apocalypse, and try to convince him that the X-Men's ways are foolish or whatever. Victor doesn't actually care about any of this and is actually trying to manipulate Daken. Daken was raised by Romulus, by the way. I know. Anyway. In the Bendis era of X-Men, Victor and Mystique team up with Lady Mastermind to rob banks in order to purchase Madripoor. There's more solo Wolverine stuff here, but I am getting exhausted and truly none of this matters. After that is Axis, in which the Red Skull steals Professor Xavier's brain and becomes Red Onslaught. Do not worry about this. What matters is that Dr. Doom and the Scarlet Witch cast an inversion spell. They overshoot and it ends up affecting everyone in the area, including Victor, who becomes a good guy. He then ends up on the Avengers Unity Squad. No, seriously. Anyway, Heroic Sabretooth does heroic stuff in a bunch of books. He dates Monet St. Croix. It's crazy. This era lasts until Victor sacrifices himself, descending into hell in exchange for the resurrection of his son so that Graydon can have another chance at life. Do not worry about it. Completely feral and monstrous again, Victor is released into the wilds of Saskatchewan by Satan. I'm serious. Victor joins forces with the dark elf Malekith, the guy from Thor 2, magic chops Victor's head off and throws it into limbo. Wild stuff. In the 2019 soft reboot House of X and Powers of 10 by writer Jonathan Hickman, Sabretooth is one of countless mutants to join the new mutant sovereign nation on the living island Krakoa. On an important Krakoan mission, he ignores orders and kills some humans. The council declared the killing of any human to be against the laws and offer Victor one last chance that he will follow the new rules. Victor refuses. He swears to slaughter all those present and is damned to a pit beneath Krakoa for all eternity. In the miniseries Sabretooth by Victor LaValle and Leonard Kirk, the new king of Krakoan hell intends to make good on his threat.
X-Men.
And we're back. Here's the thing. Almost none of that matters, so don't worry too much about it.
X-Men.
He's now possessing the body of his gay ancestor.
Yeah, they get whipped back in time, and Exodus's boyfriend, like, suddenly inhabited by Dane.
We should note that the text keeps calling them best friends. They're roommates. They're tent mates. Benet is like, why are you suddenly into this girl, this sorceress?
Yeah, because she's a fucking witch.
She turns a guy into stone and stuff.
And if you're a crusader, you're just like, that's a witch. Why is my boyfriend cavorting with a witch? Oh my god, the witch has cast a spell on my boyfriend. Obviously.
Yeah. He just died. We see his soul float away.
Like, just whoop.
Anyway, sorry, digression.
So,
a homosexual dies.
So, yes, a homosexual dies. Exodus is sad, but Exodus also realizes, I shan't serve this false god that would pit me against my boyfriend, and turns on Apocalypse.
Yeah, and Apocalypse puts him to sleep.
So
like
Apocalypse is like, all right, throws a blanket over his bird cage, and he falls asleep.
X-Men.
Ryan West writes, say 3 nice things about Magma.
Love the look. Heat is nice.
Heat's good.
Love and I like yellow. Yellow is pretty.
Oof, this is rough. That was a rough 3. That was a rough. Took you a while, and you came up with yellow. It's good. That's a tough one. All right, I'll try now. Number 1, related to Celine. That's great. Love that for her. 2. Seems to have moved beyond craving slaves. So that's character growth, right?
I should have said she loves fancy things. I love loves fancy things.
Yeah, I was going to say number 3, gold digging with the devil, is aspirational to me a little bit. But no, that's not. That's kind of a criticism. What's another nice thing to say about Amara? Great taste in jewelry. No. She's always rocking like a gold necklace or a bracelet or something. She's, blinged out in a fun way.
At least you didn't say yellow.
X-Men.
Mystique goes to Valerie Cooper and she's like, I understand that I am an infamous terrorist who attempted to kill a sitting senator not long ago. However, mutants are hot. Mutants are a hot topic. Everybody wants to figure out what's up with mutants right now. Wouldn't you like it if a mutant who doesn't give a shit about anyone but herself came and worked for you and was a superhero that you could order around? Because I am willing to do that for you 100% if you give me a full pardon. Because it's Mystique understanding that she's popular enough with the fans that she should pivot to superheroism.
Yeah.
And it annoys the shit out of the X-Men because suddenly Freedom Force have government clearance and are heroes who are tasked with apprehending them because the X-Men are outlaws. And after that period, Mystique is never really a pure villain again.
Right.
She has moments where she betrays people because she's into betraying people, but she's really just out for herself and Destiny and Rogue.
She holds very specific grudges. She'll kill your cat and then be like, well, this was for Rogue.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry. I had, she'll never say I'm sorry, but she's really like, Destiny told me I had to do that.
X-Men.
Rogue goes, I just want to set a couple of things straight. You're only wearing that uniform because your own wardrobe amounted to one white sheet. But while you're wearing it, you'll behave like an X-Man. Or so help me, I will rip it off your back and you'll walk home naked. And Reagan's outfit, let me describe it for you if you're not familiar. I call it the Bachelot top. It's a look that he puts any female character he can get into. And it is basically... low cut is not the word for it. It is an outfit that it only sort of technically constitutes a shirt. It looks like a Tetris piece almost, that just covers her nips. Basically, it covers half the boob and then it cuts all the way down to her belt. So the idea is we gave you this uniform. It's not like she's in one of the training uniforms like a New Mutant or whatever. It's the titty top. I'm like, they just had this lying around at the mansion?
X-Men.
During a battle with a new incarnation of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, Sauron rips Sam's chest open, killing him instantly, but Cable isn't concerned. Cable believes Sam is one of the Externals, also called the High Lords, a rare subset of mutant kind with the additional power of immortality, guiding Sam on his journey. And we're back. Thank you for waiting. I hope you didn't just check out during the Externals part. You literally never have to think about it again. And it's wild because for like 30 issues, it's one of the central drivers of angst in the team is like, I'm immortal. What does that mean? And like Boomba being like, oh my God, he's going to live for centuries and I'm going to die. What does that mean for our relationship?
Just of all the characters to pick to like be the next step, like you are an immortal being. Cannonball? I love the boy, but Cannonball?
Bizarre. It's like that guy, that power. I mean, like Selene and Apocalypse are like two of the most powerful villains the X-Men ever crossed paths with. And then, I mean, frankly, all of the others aren't especially impressive, but they all do seem like powerful. And then it's like, and Cannonball.
Like, howdy, I'm here.
Once it's established that each of the Externals represent like a concept, they're all sort of like deception, corruption, seduction, or whatever. And then he's just hope.
X-Men.
Sunspot throws Selene into the volcano, and he's like, well, fuck, I'm going to the volcano, I guess. And all the other new moons are like, what the fuck did you just do? We're not supposed to do that.
We're not supposed to kill people.
And he's like, I had to throw her in the volcano.
One of my favorite Ilyana moments is when she like holds the gun to the animator's head and is like, I'm gonna fucking kill you because you killed Doug. They're all like, Ilyana, you can't do that. And she's like, all right, fine. And just throws him to the demons of limbo instead. They're all like, that's not better. Rain says to her friends, let's just let Legion kill everyone.
That's probably fine. Maybe we deserve it.
And they don't do that, but they're all kind of like, there's a kind of darkness in her.
Yeah.
The thing that she's always telling us is there, and we're like, don't be ridiculous. But wait.
There it is.
It's a little bit there.
A little bit.
X-Men.
Warren is clutching the phone in his like flexed arm as he puts it back on the cradle. She walks up to him and drapes her arm over his shoulder. He wraps his arm around her waist and is like holding her. This is the one panel that I think may be the sexiest panel ever in a Marvel comic. And he says, well, kid, looks like we've only got 17 hours till the chaperones show up. And she says, let's make the most of them.
It's like, I believe that they have sex all of the time. I
Constantly.
Don't know it's like, when did Scott and Jean first have sex? Was it like
no, at their house. At their house. No, we know this canonically. We canonically know that Scott and Jean have sex for the first time on a butte outside Warren and Candy's house after they have been talking to Warren and Candy. Jean gets horny talking to Warren and Candy and seduces Scott on the butte in New Mexico. And then later in X Factor, Scott's like, wait, but that was Phoenix. I lost my virginity to Phoenix, who wasn't really Jean. And then Jean gets all the memories, so it's fine. And also, like, Phoenix was Jean. Suck my dick.
X-Men.
Warren decides, you know what? I think Jean's into Scott and I need to just let this go. So he goes to this disco and Candy walks up right behind him. Candy Southern, the light of my misspent youth. What are you doing in the big bad city? Talk about your small worlds. And talk they do. I'm running on about myself. And Warren says, run away, Candace. My time's a-coming. And Candy says, agreed, if you promise not to call me Candace again. But anyway, Warren's now catching Candy up on what he's been up to. And then Candy says, it sounds like a posh place. Do they take applicants? And he thinks, looks like I oversold the school. I better change the subject before she gets too curious. Say, I've been out of touch for a while, Candy. Think you could show me some new dances? And she goes, I thought you'd never ask. And then suddenly Professor Xavier cockblocks. Because
it's what he does.
Warren, you must come to do something. And he's like, great, cool.
Yeah, he's terrible to Warren, which is really funny to me, kind of. Professor X is always taking those checks, but he never really like bonds with Warren. Like Bobby and Hank pair up, Jean and Cyclops pair up, and then Warren is just sitting there kind of like, hey, prof, and Xavier's just like, busy.
X-Men.
Warren is going 190 miles an hour, and Candy's like, 190? Warren, stop! But she's loving it. Then the Ghost Rider, who is angry for reasons, he demands that Warren race him and threatens Candy. He's like, maybe I should give her a kiss with his like fiery skull mouth. Once he does that, Warren's like, all right.
He pulls the gloves off and is like, all right, let's go.
And then he thinks, he's like, if only so I can get you physically away from Candy right now. They do the race, but Warren ends up getting set on fire by Ghost Rider, which happens sometimes when you fight Ghost Rider. He gets knocked into like a little coma. He has like a little coma moment. He has a bunch of little coma moments, perhaps. Candy manages to get him to the hospital. She calls the Avengers. She goes, hello, I'm trying to reach Hank McCoy, because she knows Hank. And Captain America's like, oh, Hank McCoy actually recently resigned from the Avengers. I was like, he did? I forgot. Like, I forget all of this fucking Avengers stuff, right? He goes, but don't worry, miss. We believe you and we'll be right over there. So they head off to fight Ghost Rider, and Warren wakes up and talks sense into Ghost Rider, like, we were friends and the champions, buddy. Like, you don't need to be angry all the time. You're still a cool guy, even if you're like an evil skullhead.
Yeah, and he makes like Johnny be like,
Yeah, Johnny Blaze is like, I suppose I am still a cool guy, even though I am an angry skullhead.
But once again, he wouldn't be here today if it weren't for Candy Southern.
Not at all.
X-Men.
Scott is like, there's this new threat, the Hellfire Club. And Warren's like, the Hellfire Club? I'm like, oh, I inherited a membership. Candy's a member too. We went one time and it was just not our scene.
We went to one orgy there. It was fun for one night, but never again.
I feel like Candy was like, listen, Tall. And he was like, I know, sweet kid. It's not a hip scene. It's like, those panties are so small, you could barely fit them on my hand.
God, Candy, you are
so great.
So great.
She's very much like you pointed her, go, that girl.
Yeah.
She's it, baby.
But it's like, instead of it being that girl, she's like dealing with weird, kinky X-Men stuff.
Yes, because like Chris Claremont's in control now. You know, so it's like, prepare yourself.
X-Men.
So right now she's in the penthouse and Warren's not there and she finds some feathers and blood on the ground and she's not an idiot. She does have a terrible haircut. Then the lights suddenly go out, so she runs to the phone. She's like, the cops would never show up in time. They're incompetent. And calls Professor Xavier instead.
Candy said a cab.
The police? What are they going to do? Professor X, I need help. So she's talking to Xavier. She's like, Professor, the penthouse is under attack. We need help. From behind her, the Morlock Sunder grabs her and literally throws her through the bay window. Luckily, the professor has yet again, in his eternal cockblock way, interrupted Kurt and Amanda Sefton, who are in a hot tub having a nice time.
Oh, there's naked people around here? I'd better put a stop to this.
He's like, Kurt, that's your sister. No, I'm kidding. I mean, she is, but I'm kidding.
I mean,
because Charles doesn't care. Anyway, Kurt bamfs over and catches Candy and then teleports her back into the hot tub and drops her on top of nude Amanda Sefton because this is a Chris Claremont comic.
X-Men.
In the Dazzler solo, Warren is trying to get Allie to date him because this is now, hey, it's Allie, not Warren's uncle. Either Warren and Candy are off again, or you can say that he's cheating on her.
I would believe that Warren did cheat on her.
Well, she says so in X Factor.
That's the point, right? Is it that like she is the ultimate girlfriend and he still is like not really able to commit to her.
If she's like, you fucked Allison Blair, she's like, I saw it in the Daily Mail.
Yeah, I have the internet. We all have the internet.
We're deciding timescale, cool cat. I saw it on the tabloids. It hit me on my Apple News. All right, okay, fine.
Like, she'd be like, it's done, right? Like,
I bet it's like, hall pass on that. She's like, you know, I'm going to go fuck a celebrity. And what finally breaks her on that is when she thinks it's Jean.
She's like, we just did this. Like, I showed up and was like the thing that broke you from Jean. And now you're going back because you're confused or something?
And you, bitch. Let's talk about you for a second.
Yeah.
It's such a good scene.
X-Men.
For a while, we don't know what happens with Candy because Warren goes through it after that. The minute he and Jean get down into the tunnels, that ends with him getting crucified in the tunnels by Harpoon. That leads to Cameron Hodge arranging to have his wings amputated. That leads to his suicide attempt. That leads to Apocalypse kidnapping him. That leads to him becoming Death. Literally, like, one issue after he breaks free from Apocalypse's conditioning, he's like, I should go check on Candy. It's his first thought. He refuses to rejoin the team. He's like, I can't be around these people, but I need to go see if Candy's because
she leaves and his entire life falls apart.
Falls apart completely. It said that it's been 1 month since she dumped him. Warren's life truly in universe has completely collapsed in 1 month.
Yeah.
He arrives at the penthouse.
And you know that he's just there to like beg her to like take him back.
Yes.
Like
he's like, I'm a blue freak. Please. I'm sorry. Like I clearly made the wrong choice. There was a choice moment there and I made the wrong one. Fucking Southern man. So we are here to talk about Candy Southern. Oh, wow. That's a sentinel. Now I'm imagining her and Celine hanging out. Because you know Candy's just like, she's a hoot and a half. Did you know she eats people? Take my father, please.
All of the defenders would be dead if Candy wasn't there.
I mean, yeah, and they all end up dead in the end. And you know why? Because Valkyrie told her to leave the house. When Tanya goes to Angel's Eyrie to be like, hey, I need your help saving Carl Lycos, Candy fixes them a drink or whatever.
Yes.
And is like, I'm not going. Have fun. Enjoy the Savage Land. Bye. I'm going to be poolside. I am hoping that this episode will create a lot of Candy Southern fans.
Are you going to do that speech that she does?
I sure am. Let me say something. You're not amateurs or professionals. You're fine, dedicated people, defenders of the things you believe in. If you didn't doubt yourselves, you'd be robots or menaces. But from this outside viewpoint, you've got nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing. And they all just sort of look at her and they're like, you know what? She's right. And they decide to keep going. But then they all died and she's like, well, all right, maybe some pool time. Candy figured out Hodge was a traitor and has been collecting evidence to give to the press. And that she was going to meet up with Trish to deliver the payoff and then disappeared. And Warren's kind of like, and you didn't follow up on this, reporter gal? Like, what's your fucking problem? She's like, well, she left town. It's like, she didn't leave town, you fucking idiot.
I love her so much. This is why Candy is necessary. We need one of these.
We need this character.
Yeah, we need Candy back.
Guys, like, we need this character back. And if anyone who works for Marvel Entertainment would like to discuss the matter with me, they know where to reach me. Until next time, everybody, thank you for listening to probably the longest episode of this podcast yet about Candy Southern, a human character who has appeared in 50 issues and died in 1988.
I'm proud of us, honestly.
I am really proud of us.
Like,
this is an iconic episode of this podcast, in my opinion. I'm calling it now. I haven't even edited the shit yet, and I bet it fucking whips.
Yeah.
X-Men.
The fight's not going well, and Lila begins to charge her power, and then teleports her and the band and Sam only away, leaving the crowd going nuts.
This isn't her first time at the aliens trying to kill me rodeo. Cannonball and the band land with her in a Dyson sphere. What is a Dyson sphere, you might ask? Google it. DYSON. This is not a physics podcast, but it's so quiet and still. Nothing's moving. Lala, aren't there any people? So far as I can tell, nary a one.
Lila has no idea what's going on inside this giant artificial world in which she lives. ADHD
She just
queen.
lives here because she literally just rolled up one day and was like, this is mine now.
Oh, I love this.
And just stayed.
No,
Lila has
absolutely
not
not.
seen fit to investigate because Lila is the kind of person who really believes that possession is 9/10 of the law. Like, once she has something in her clutches, it's hers, really.
It is. And she's very vibes based. I mean, she would like, look at that hot little corn cob up there. I'm going to take him with me. And this is great because she's stealing the planet right now. Like, she has just pulled
we'll
off
get to
the
her
caper.
evil scheme, right? Because Lila Cheney is a really bad person. And that's part
She
of what's
is.
fun.
X-Men.
Hello, Zella Gang. It's time to activate. Betsy Braddock Captain Britain #1 was announced at New York Comic Con. It is coming out in February. I want you to call your local comic shop today and ask for it in physical as a pre-order, please, because pre-orders in physical are the best way to support any creator that you love. Even something that is solicited as a mini, it's your money. But if you want to see certain characters, especially in a franchise like X-Men that's so huge, it's just always good to tell sales this character is popular. You're helping the writers, you're helping the artists, you're helping convey that there is interest in the characters that they're using. Generally speaking, the #1 way to express your support for any comic book is to pre-order a physical single issue copy from your local comic shop. I know that's annoying, but unfortunately that is the way that it is.
X-Men.
When she and T'Challa were on the Fantastic Four for a minute, I was just like, what the fuck is...
I can't imagine a conversation between Storm and Sue Storm.
Yeah, Aurora's only thought, I'm sure, would be like, divorce him.
Divorce, babes. Divorce.
Because here's the thing, like, she spent a decade with Forge. It's a thing she understands. But at a certain point, you gotta walk away.
And just let him be a supervillain.
Right, just
Take
do
the
it.
kids and have fun.
Take the kids. Fuck the Fish King. Live your best life. There is no reason to be with this man any longer. I don't care how much he can stretch. I assure you the Imperious sex is worth it.
Well, hey, whatever makes it work.
X-Men.
I don't actually have a problem with him. It's just that people won't fucking shut up about this lizard, and I don't care. She's Chris Claremont's darkest desire given ancient flesh, and I think that's beautiful. I don't think Charles understands what happened. I think he believes that Betsy is just a British Asian woman. Like, why is this white woman doing Betsy's stuff? Feels a little problematic. She does it to him in private. It's not like she says it in front of the whole team. And it's not like she took it out of his brain on purpose. She's just a 16-year-old telepath who's still figuring it all out. What if I get in his head and keep him busy for 2 weeks with my hot tits? And they were like, love that. Do it. He is happily married.
I know.
He has a newborn.
I know.
Primari is like, hey, we'll use elixir to heal her wounds. Ariel is like, hey, we wanted to get you back. Tanya goes, hey, I need your help saving Carl Lycos. Cyclops is like, hey, we need you to go to Limbo and rescue Ilyana. And she's like, hey, I need help. Mystique like, hey, Val just shot herself. And he's like, hey, so I actually lost that. Exodus is like, hey, I have a cure that I will give you if you help me.
The rest of them are kind of like, hey, you doing okay? We know it's sinister.
The Red Queen and her sisterhood are like, hey, join us. And she leans in and she says, hey, I'm Allie. Hey. You know, I hate to talk about IBX, but Callisto opens the tunnels up to humans and mutants.
She does what?
They kidnap the leprechauns that live under Cassidy Keep, because that's a thing. Oh, don't worry, the Nazi Sinister was that clone and we killed him.
What the fuck is a microwave? That shouldn't exist.
We've talked about Iceman. We've talked about his history with Gambit. Is there anyone else you think Sunfire should bang it out with?
I have a list.
X-Men.
Hey, king of having the audacity, gives this deeply condescending speech about her not knowing and that says the words, everything has a price. Bitch, you put her here.
She was the price. You sold her.
Sold her. Okay, you know what? I think now is a good time. I just need to say some shit. Get it off my chest.
Bitch.
Hank McCoy, I hope you're sitting down. I told you I was going to fucking get to you. Now is the time. Fuck you, Hank McCoy. I fucking hate you, you sad, self-hating little war criminal. I've never liked you, and every day and everything I learn about you makes me hate you more. You are a bottomless toilet of a person, and the deeper you go, the worse it stinks, and the more women you find left behind that you've discarded and treated like shit. You are disgusting, and nobody likes you, and I don't want to hear your, well, nobody likes me because I'm ugly. Bitch, shut up. Are you kidding me? I can't open my phone without seeing a furry, so miss me with that shit. Also, there is a skeleton floating in pink goo sitting 5 feet away from you, and his name is Glob Herman, and people fucking love him. Are you dumb? Nobody likes you because of who you are, and who you are is a toxic, imperialist, race traitor, genocidal freak, and I'm not even going to get into the Latin American genocide because we don't have time, but of course that's on your fucking rap sheet, you evil blue ball bum bitch. And the worst part is it's not even new because Threnody shows us you have always been that girl because you are that girl, and I knew you were, and I am not done. The X-Men universe has endless ways of making people suffer, and I have yet to see one that adequately captures what I want to see happen to you. But until that way, I want you put on a goddamn watch list, Hank McCoy. I want you to never be able to speak to another woman or black or brown person again, especially Threnody. You stay the fuck away from my girl, and do you hear me? I am dead serious. And I hope you never have another good day as long as you live. And one more thing, Tessa could be blackout drunk, and she is still smarter than you on your best day. I'm done.
Thank you, Jordan. That was important.
X-Men.
Emma's like, I didn't have your advantages, Charles, and I did the best I could, and like, it turns out I'm a fucking terrible teacher because all of my students just got murdered. And he's like, well, you're not a terrible teacher, but you have been kind of evil, so maybe let's revisit the evil part. And Scott just kind of like, well, you know, Emma, like, you did a lot of evil stuff back in the day, maybe that's why people don't really trust you. And she's like, oh, darling, we were all on so many drugs back then because it was the 80s, and you can just picture the Hellfire Club, that the Lords Cardinals meeting room is just a huge mirrored table with like a mountain of cocaine, and like much like with Magneto, because before you get his sympathetic backstory in the 60s, Magneto was just evil as shit. Yeah. And so sometimes you need a way to kind of like wave it off, and for her to be like, I was disowned by my parents and became a stripper and got hooked on coke and became a supervillain. So sorry that I am not perfect, Scott.
X-Men.
This is right after Fall of the Mutants, so the X-Men are pretending that they're dead.
Unconvincingly.
Yeah, right. They're establishing a new base of operations in the Reavers base, and there's a Christmas special. They find all of the loot the Reavers have stolen from around the world. And Longshot, he has like a psychometric ability to read the history of objects. They decide to return all of it. By working with Psylocke and her telepathy, they're able to find everyone who each object belongs to. And Gateway, instinctively, by observing them, decides these are people who are doing good.
Well, they could have set up in town and just kept the gold for their own use.
Right. And they're in need right now, and they decide to give it away. So he teleports the X-Men around the world to return all of the items. There's a really beautiful moment at the end of the issue where Rogue walks up to Gateway, and she says, "Morning, Gateway." And she thinks, this is crazy. I know this isn't your holiday or anything. I must be a fool. Don't even know if you people have holidays. Which is just classic Rogue.
She's not the smartest, but she's not racist.
And then Gateway looks at her and just pats the earth next to him. Pat, pat, pat. And Rogue comes and sits down. She has brought him a flute as a gift. And he starts to play it for her. And she just sits and is amazed at his talent.
X-Men.
Marvel's Teenie Howard, what are you doing here?
Hi, Connor. I know you're in the middle of recording an episode, but I had to come talk about Betsy Braddock, Captain Britain #1.
I am so thrilled that you are here to hang out with me and purchase ad space on my podcast.
That's right. Even if I purchased it for the price of a bottle of wine.
It's good wine, and we're going to have a nice day.
It's Braddock family values, baby. We've got Betsy back with Brian and Megan and even a little Jamie. And of course, her girlfriend, Rachel.
Just FYI update in case you've been checking, Betsy and Rachel are still gay.
It's our first solo outing with Betsy after 30 plus issues of her leading teams and going into Otherworld and fighting wars and being a boss. Finally, Betsy's got to be Captain Britain and she's got to face it head on whether or not they like her having the job.
With England not banning mutants, but certainly closing all gates to Krakoa, pulling out of the Krakoan Treaty, etc. It's a tense time for a mutant Captain Britain to emerge from Otherworld and try to address the people.
The past 3 years, I've been writing a lot about Betsy and Krakoa. In this book, we're taking it back to England. She's going to do the job. She's going to be in the 616 world. And we'll definitely be seeing some of Betsy's Excalibur foes returning. She's definitely got a lot of bad blood, people that want to handle things. They've just been waiting for her to get back from Otherworld so they can hold her accountable.
Well, the best Captain Britain stories have always been about the uneasy nature of being a national hero. We've seen Betsy say that she serves the people of Britain, not the nation of Britain. And I'm sure people are in power who are not going to appreciate that approach.
Yeah, and instead of like an ideological argument about it, they're going to pull out swords and like there's going to be monsters and they're going to fight all over England.
It's been a while since we had a solo X-Men title centered on an LGBT character, particularly someone in a relationship. It's fun to come into this book and have this new thing.
It's super exciting for them to be textually together and openly together because there is a lot of fun getting to write couples and romance, of writing the things that stress them and make them different and make them similar, playing with their differences, and that tension is sexy and fun. When they're not together yet, you spend a lot of time trying to bring them together. And then once you get them together, you're in this sexy little crucible where you can kind of see who they really are together. And it'll be really exciting because Betsy's going through something really big and she has not only her family to support her, but her girlfriend. And that's a thing we don't get to see a lot. A woman stepping into a role that's new and different for her with another woman who loves her behind her and by her side. More than just love keeps her with Betsy. Rachel's power helps Betsy be more independent in her own powers, and Betsy's powers help Rachel fulfill her Ascani destiny.
Well, that's very exciting. If you're listening, Teeny and I would like you to call up your local comic shop and ask them to put Betsy Braddock Captain Britain #1 on your pull list. A physical pre-order is the best way to support new comics.
Yes, please. Cerebro listeners, Connor and I would love for you to pre-order Betsy Braddock Captain Britain #1 coming out in February from me and Vasco Georgiev, who's doing incredible work. Eric Arcianega is our colorist. You're familiar with his work from Excalibur and Knights of X, bringing more of his incredible colors. Vasco's art is beautiful. It's got this great superhero feel that just gives me delicious Alan Davis vibes. Would love for you to go to your local comic shop, call them up, tweet them, at them. I send a pigeon and just, hey, can you order me Betsy Braddock Captain Britain #1? Because I want to read it.
Send a Violet Swan.
That's right. Thank you, Zala Gang. You're my favorite and I love you.
Guess what, baby? We're dancing the spiral tonight.
X-Men.
And we are on Mojo Vision.
It's not going to make any f***ing sense.
Pride.
Spiral is the right hand of Mojo. Body shop, bitch.
He wears his sins like a shroud.
I am Spiral. I am the time dancer of death.
Oh, God. I'm going to scream into the microphone for about 20 uninterrupted minutes.
I'm just going to sit and watch.
Spiral is a space-time sorceress. She's a dance space-time witch. And why is that so hard to understand? Spiral is the universe's foremost plastic surgeon.
Do you want big titties? Do you want a hot ass?
You want women, bitch. You're gay.
Well, yeah, no. Spiral can make you pussy. The Body Shop guarantees satisfaction or your money back.
I've never seen anyone ask for their money back.
Rachel didn't ask for her money back.
No.
She was like, I am snatched.
Do you not want new eyeballs? I gave you some anyway. Spiral is a dancer. You don't interrupt the dance! One thing I have for you, bitch, is time.
And it's just gonna go and go and go. Spiral truly is running up that hill all the time.
The baby.
She calls her Psylocke Psy Witch.
You can tell Betsy's like, I've never been called this, but I feel like I'm being hate crimed right now.
Now.
Betsy never heard this phrase in her life. She's like, how dare you, you bitch.
Fuck you,
Fuck
Spiral.
you too.
Scrolling through the notes.
Yeah. Okay, anyway. So,
Spiral,
the thing about...
Spiral is an ADHD queen.
Oh, fully. Oh my God, fine. I'll heal her fucking knife face. Mojo.
That's cute. I'm gonna ruin your fucking life.
Macho.
Because you suck. And you guys are gonna just be along for the ride. Spiral
is on this bitch's ass.
You're gonna be down or you're not gonna be down.
Wait. We need to talk about how Spiral shows up on the scene.
By trying to sacrifice a baby to the devil.
Bestie, she's trying to kill a baby.
And I hope that you'll be down.
And sometimes that's what a woman has to do.
She's got 6 arms.
I want her to every single arm at once, throw me against a wall.
Betsy Braddock faced me like a true ninja, and for Betsy, like, what the are you talking about?
Major Domo watching the screen back home. Since when are you a
when were you a ninja? She's cool,
She's
but like
6 arms and she's been fighting forever.
But she's not a ninja.
Y'all know one thing I love when I come to a time period is bitches getting loose in the street.
A jumpsuit with cargo pockets in it.
The body shop cloak. The body shop cloak.
When she's working, and boots with the fur.
Also, the boots with the fucking fur, bitch.
Boots with the fur?
Yes. Boots with the fur. I think it's the boots that are iconic.
The boots with the fur. The boots with the fur.
Oh my God. Apple bottom tights, boots with the fur.
What is it? I'm shaking in my gorgeous furry
Oh
boots.
my God.
I am giving you free content. Leave me alone. She uses a bunch of swords. You're listening, Fabes? I love you, Uncle Fabian. King, my king.
Major Domo is voguing in the battle pit.
Bitch. She's like, who killed Wanda? And they're like, that was last year. And she's like, oh.
You guys made like the space room, the waiting room for all your dead souls.
Cool,
I missed that.
Right.
I
missed that. I wanted to see that. Furry boots and an outfit that's good to dance in. That's all you need. I was like, no, you're wrong. I trust the Fisher King implicitly because he is fucking my dad so good. And I don't appreciate you questioning his motives.
We have to move on.
We have to move back to Spiral. She's got a big samurai hat on for no reason that's ever been explained. Nothing to Spiral does has a purpose. It's funny though.
Like, I don't know why the I'm here either. Someone told me to beat your ass. I'm doing
Honey,
it.
big titties, hot ass.
Women, you're gay.
The one thing you must include is the boots with the fur.
You have to include the boots with the fur.
You need boots with the fur.
You need boots with the like. Put some fur. No, do a shirling boot aviator. Yeah. When you ask why not Spiral, interrogate that a little bit. Sit with yes, Spiral. Choose yes to Spiral.
Teeny is writing Rachel down
boots.
Perfect.
Writing that girl down boots.
I hope you're enjoying this absolute show.
I know this episode is a tour down the spiral. That's why we're here.
We're spiraling.
Then dance! Spin your spirals!
Dance! Dance to stop the dance. You may not stop it. You may never stop the dance. You don't stop the dance. Dance. Don't interrupt the dance. Don't interrupt the dance. Don't interrupt the dance. Don't interrupt the dance.
God, what the f***
What am I listening to? We're like an hour and a half into this, and I don't know what is going on.
No one's had a coherent thought in 90 minutes.
We decided forming content that the Spiral episode should be fully crazy.
Hold you up front. The boots with the fur.
But should not a
knife face.
Titties. It's not going to make any sense.
This is going to be a journey.
Okay, so yeah, I did kidnap you from Switzerland and put bionic eyes in your head to make you a slave.
You were annoying to me like 3 times. And most of all, Spiral's a bad bitch. Justice for Spiral. What does that mean? I'm not super sure. Spiral's gay rights. I think we can end on that. I think we can end on Spiral as gay rights.
I love that.
X-Men.
Andrew Cossack writes, has Spiral ever been distracted by Cyclops' eye beams? How aggressively does Spiral commit to the I'm just a cat bit? I would encourage her to lean into that more because it's funny.
I do think that like cat stuff works on her.
Yeah.
Generally.
It's just you can't go too far with it because like she is like a person. If you were going to have someone be obsessed with Cyclops' eye beams, I would say Cat's Eye because she's a fucking cat.
If you do one of those like text message pages, data pages, like, yo, what's up with Cyclops? I think he's doing it on purpose to mess with me.
He's doing it to mess with me. And it's like, Sharon, you don't have to chase it every time. And Sharon's like, I do, though. What if I caught it this time? It's like, you can't catch it. That's not possible. She's like, but this time I could maybe catch. It's like, no.
I think I figured out the pattern.
That's not how it works.
X-Men.
So, Juggernaut, gay as hell.
That's all. New York is a prude town.
No one like Tallulah Bankhead ever in the world, but an icon. Not to disrespect my queen, Liza Minnelli. Have I told you my Julie Taymor story?
No. Tell me your Julie Taymor story.
This is so unrelated to Juggernaut, but it's fine.
Not really.
It's totally fine. Juggernaut is trade, right? If you're listening, gay porn star Kane Marco, love your work. Keep it up. Topping the Juggernaut is probably complicated, and I think it speaks well of Black Tom Cassidy that he's game.
She has a song by Jim Steinman somewhere in her archive.
Oh! All I wanted was a piece of the night. I never had an equal share. Young man, never listen to me. I said, young man, what do you want to be? I said, hey, yeah.
Gonna get a takedown notice for hitting that so exact. if you look at the design, like it looks like he's wearing like LEDs, but it's actually like physical bands of Sidorak that he's like manifested into the world.
And it's very Sunday brunch at the Eagle.
Yes, of course, it always is. Yeah.
Juggernaut has strong opinions about the Patti LuPone versus Glenn Close, Andrew Lloyd Webber scandals. That's okay. John Byrne will never listen to this podcast ever in his life. Can you imagine? Welcome to Cerebro, the X-Men podcast where a homo and his friends. He was like, I don't like that at all. If you're listening, women who wrote that Slash fan fiction back in the day, it's the most I ever liked Iceman or Gambit. It was in the porn that was not canonical. But, you know, I mean, is it like Newgrounds? It's like, I don't even remember.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? E-Bombs World. You're the man now dog.com.
Yeah.
We're so old.
I love that we're talking so much about Julie Taymor.
Thank you for being a gay elder. And I'm
It's
like,
weird.
I'm 35.
Are you going to talk about Madam Web?
I am going to talk about Madam Web. Anyway, so Julie Taymor.
Juggernaut wants to hear us talk about Julie Taymor.
Juggernaut does want to hear us talk about Julie Taymor. Well, Tony, thank you so much, as always, for joining me.
Oh, are we not doing the Real Housewives lines? I got all ready for them.
X-Men.
John Schwenk writes, I'd love for you and Alex to discuss what your dream scenario for hanging out with Wallflower would be. I love this question. I do think that she would be a huge fag hag.
Oh, absolutely.
That's also why her and Prodigy reconnecting would be fun, because Prodigy's queer now, and like he's also like a club kid. She is just poppers.
Yeah.
You huff her and feel things. That's sort of just like what she does. She is MDMA as a person.
Yeah.
Which I think is great. You don't crash the same way because she can just like fix that.
It would be like, okay, well then shut the windows and the doors. Let Lori vibe.
Wallflower just like being the queen of the gays.
Also, like, I want to go rob banks with Wallflower.
Well, that's the other thing. Like, let's do crimes. Like, you know, not to...
Let's go on a shopping spree. Let's steal some money. Let's like go to Vegas.
Let's make men buy us drinks at bars. Like, we're not going to hurt them, but they could buy us drinks for free because your pheromone powers make them want to. Like, that's fun.
Like hustlers.
Yes, exactly. Like, take advantage of men in a non-violent way, just sort of casually. I support that. They can afford to buy us a round of shots because Wallflower smells good. They really can. I like the idea of Stacey X convincing Wallflower that like our power doesn't have to be evil, but also let's do some crimes.
Like crimes. Bank robbing.
Like crimes. We're not hurting anybody, but like we deserve stuff, and so we should do crime.
You would always take from people who would be able to afford it. Like the banks. Like a corporation.
We walked right into the boardroom and now we have stock in this company because everyone thought we were so hot. Oh no, real victimless crime, to be honest.
It was just like, oh, we took all of BlackRock's money? Wow, how'd that happen? Weird.
We're just so sexy.
Weird.
X-Men.
Wanda and the Vision get married and the Avengers ask Pietro to come back and join them. And he's like, no, fuck you, because you're asking me to leave my happy marriage because my dumb sister married a robot. And he gets kidnapped and he has to team up with Yocasta, who is a robot.
Oh, and he's racist towards Yocasta.
And he has all of these racist robot feelings because of his sister marrying a dirty robot. So then Moondragon is like, honestly, reading your thoughts that are like so robot racist is disgusting. And she just rewrites his mind so that he's not racist toward robots anymore. And Hawkeye's like, Moondragon, you can't do that. And she's like, yes, I can, actually.
I just did.
She just opened his mind to all the reasons why one might not be racist against robots.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? But otherwise, I'm going to say Pietro Maximoff was right. Name one good thing that came from that marriage.
I mean, for Wanda, not much, honestly.
No.
X-Men.
The ladies decide that they need a day to themselves. Gateway teleports them to Beverly Hills.
Yep.
So that they can go shopping.
This was when malls were really big.
Malls, for Gen Z, malls used to be really big. Malls were like a big deal. The mall is where you would go with your friends to hang out. There was this thing called a video arcade.
Check out the movie theater because we didn't have
You'd
Netflix.
go to the movie theater, right? And then there's a food court. You and your friends can eat.
And they all had fountains where you can just, throw coins in and make a wish.
Yeah, you make wishes. You throw coins. There's so much going on.
Near the elevator. That's our meeting point, Mom and Dad.
Point is, the mall was big. So the X-women go to the mall. Jubilee is the only person who sees the X-women arrive, and as a runaway who makes money by busking with firework tricks that people don't realize are mutant powers, She is impressed by their willingness to be seen and to be strange and to be different. In that way, she's a lot like a lot of kids seeing the X-Men for the first time. Kids who are from minority backgrounds, kids who are queer, kids who are coming from all kinds of misfit subject positions that cause them to identify with the X-Men, which is part of the enduring appeal of this franchise.
X-Men.
The Stepford Cuckoos are 5 girls. Sophie, Esme, Celeste, and Phoebe were named in Grant Morrison's run on New X-Men. They then did not get a chance to name the 5th one. Friend of the pod, Chuck Austin, names her Mindy.
Huh. Really? With 2 E's.
Matt Fraction later retcons that Mindy's actual name is Irma and that she hates it, so she goes by Mindy, which is a funny solution.
I've always loved the ugliness of Irma.
Austin also makes Cuckoo their last name, which is so fucking... This has aggravated me now for 20 years because their last name should be Stepford. They're the Stepford Cuckoos. But yeah, I think if they were Sophie, Phoebe, Irma, Celeste, and Esme Stepford, like those are civilian names that are actual names. No one is named Cuckoo. I mean, I know. Listeners, if you know anybody with the surname Cuckoo who exists in the world and is a human being, not a bird, let me know.
X-Men.
You lose, Selene! Your reign of darkness is over. Your countless victims are at last about to be avenged. And then Wolverine goes,
Rachel, stop, darling, before it's too late.
Wolverine!
I've come to take you home.
No, you're not real. You're from my dreams. Still chasing, always hunting, here to kill me. Why, Logan? What have I done to fill you with such hate?
Nothing. Yet.
A trick! She's playing with my mind, or with yours, to make you save her. But I'd know it if she did. She's helpless.
Then show mercy.
To her? Never. Wolverine, no court, no human law can touch her. If I don't punish her, stop her, no one will.
Maybe so, but who appointed you judge, jury, and executioner?
Bold talk, little man, from a natural killer.
That's right. We have something in common. We both killed. Odds are we'll kill again. But this, Rachel, this is murder.
And so what's funny about this is, like, the whole time Selene is just watching. Just like, this is annoying. But, like...
She's just like, I want to see what happens next.
She's like, I wonder what's going to go on. What's going to happen here? It continues. She's like, the only way to stop me, Logan, is to kill me. And he does.
X-Men.
Selene gives Shaw her new brainwashed slaves, Magma and Rachel Summers, who had attempted to infiltrate the Hellfire Club to attack her because they hate Selene for reasons. And Tessa is like, hey,
use them to kill her.
Take those and use them to kill her because, they're super powerful and it doesn't super work out, unfortunately, because the girls aren't under the best brainwashing control and the X-Men show up and it all goes kind of pear-shaped. That is when Xavier is like, hey, we're supposed to have a truce, thank you. And everybody is just kind of like, okay,
our bad,
you know. It's like, your girls attacked us, you know, which is a recurring theme here. My favorite is when Celine's just like, Rachel Summers tried to kill me, and Eric is like, no doubt with good reason, Celine. Like, you know, because he's met this woman and he knows she's bad news.
X-Men.
In 1985, a friend of the pod, Kulan Gath, mystically transforms all Manhattan into Conan times.
Well, everyone's freaking out.
It's like WandaVision.
Yeah. Beyond like the bubble, everyone's just like, what do we do? All our superheroes are stuck in weird costumes. WTF, how are we going to get out of this?
And then Celine, I think maybe she's at the mat or something, but she's standing between like 2 columns. It says, but hidden in nearby shadows. And she goes, careless as ever, Kulan Gath. Your enchantment has no effect on a sorceress who was old. Her power feared when this world was in its infancy.
She's like, you forgot about me.
Yeah, it's like, you forgot about me, Kulan Gath. And then she, like a vampire, literally like fucking Dracula, just like puts her cloak in front of her face and then vanishes into the shadows.
It's like, is the only hope Celine? And she's just like, yes, it is.
X-Men.
When we meet Forge, Tony Stark is not making weapons for the government anymore, and they hire Forge. This is where the Dire Wraiths enter the picture. What are the Dire Wraiths, you might ask?
They're like shape stealers.
The Dire Wraiths are shape-shifting aliens who were created as villains for a comic that Marvel was doing with Hasbro for Rom the Space Knight, who was a toy.
And in reading the issues independent of Rom, because you can't read the Rom issues anywhere, the scale of the threat, I think, is diminished.
The Dire Wraiths become a really big, major threat in the Marvel universe, but you can't read the comic that explains what the fuck they are. So you're just kind of like, what is going on? What's a Dire Wraith? Val, the bitch, Val Cooper, and Henry Peter Gyrick are really worried about the dire wraiths because the dire wraiths are killing and replacing people within the government in order to take over Earth. The only person who can stop them is Rom the Space Knight, who has a device called a neutralizer that takes away superhuman powers. And if he uses it on a dire wraith, they lose the ability to shapeshift. Rom is like, I'm not going to give you my Galadorian technology or whatever. So Val is like, well, then we need to make a knockoff.
Yeah, she goes around problems.
So she's like, well, I found this mutant who can invent anything with his brain. What if we tell him about the neutralizer and say, come up with one? So Forge is like, well, all right. And he does, in fact, create a neutralizer that's pretty much as good as Rom's.
He hasn't tested it yet.
And he makes Val and Gyrick promise that they won't use it on anything until he's able to better test it. And when, to be honest, this is on Forge a little bit. Because if you're creating Black Ops technology for the US government, you probably should not be surprised when they use it for purposes that you did not intend. And he does it a lot. And then every time he's like, oh my God, I never thought it would be used for this purpose. It's like, babe.
X-Men.
Carrie walks onto a team and the other women on the team think she's a good girl.
Right, because Terry, by contrast to Monet, who is the rich bitch, and Rain, who at this point is like the Scarlet Jezebel who had an affair with a student.
They're like, you're clearly the goody-goody. And she's like, I spent years doing international thieving and getting blackout drunk at 16.
I was a supervillain when I was a child.
Yeah.
Where is this coming from? I do nothing but drink and hit on men old enough to be my father. Why am I the good girl in this situation?
And they find that out and they're like, oh my God. Oh, we can trauma bond now.
X-Men.
The MLF decides to assassinate Henry Peter Gyrick. Farrell's just like, why are we trying to save Henry Peter Gyrick? He has spent literally the last 15 years of X-Men comics trying to kill all mutants. But they're still like, no, we can't possibly let these terrorists kill beloved government official Henry Peter Gyrick. So Rainfire comes to Farrell and he's like, hey girl, hey, I've got an idea. What if I gave you some pounce treats and a little catnip mouse and you and me kill Henry Peter Gyrick? You want to kill Gyrick with me? And she's like, I would love to kill Henry Peter Gyrick with you. I'm sorry, I know that we're here to rescue this guy, but this is the most unbearable white man I've ever sat in a room with. And I'm going to kill him now.
I love this one thing about Cable. He's extremely military dude, but he's dumb as hell.
Oh.
He's like Homer Simpson dumb. And this is because I need my most erratic, unreliable,
who can protect
solo protect our unpowered asset.
He hates mutants, by the way, just fucking hates them.
You,
Farrell,
to not make a sound.
Whose code name is Farrell. Excuse me, Rumple Teaser, would you go over here and guard the most important part of this whole mission, who you hate? Cool.
X-Men.
I'm sorry, Krakoa, because I know you're going to do it. You're going to sift through all 20 hours of this fucking podcast and make the best TikToks you can. There's that bit in episode 1 where I say to Teeny, oh, we should hurry up because I don't know if people are going to want to listen to an X-Men podcast for much more than an hour. This is set to be the biggest episode today to talk about Madeline Pryor. I'm like, will this have to be a part 1, part 2 kind of situation?
We got to. I mean, we're here for Maddie.
We got to the character file at the 3-hour mark. By the hour mark, we have only gotten through her second appearance. But that is because we did have to explain Vertigo first. So that took a while.
Yeah.
Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying this long-ass episode. This is going to be the longest ever episode of this podcast, I guarantee, because I'm never doing this again. But if you don't subscribe on the Patreon, go subscribe on the fucking Patreon.
I do.
I know, I'm just saying, I'm like, No,
I do, as in a...
No, I know, but we're
thumbs up.
We're about to give them a lot of hours of free content.
19 hours of free content.
At this point, I don't even know. So, please, patreon.com/RebroCast. Mama's gotta eat. We've now recorded for basically an entire day. This is it. This is the great work. This is the thing we have made. Look upon it. I abjure life, Father, except that we don't. We have embraced life. We've chosen it. We have told Madeline, your family. And I can't wait to see what's next for her. And I can't wait to see what's next for all of us. Thank you all so much for 2.5 years of support as I have embarked on this crazy journey. I loved, oh my God, can you hear my voice? It's done. We're done, baby. I got to go to bed.
X-Men.
Emma is part of the cabal in Dark Reign, so she fakes telepathically the execution of Shaw. The big thing is that Emma says to him, you always said you were a self-made man. Now it looks like you get a chance to prove it. So she lets him free in the rural fields of China to make something of himself as a complete amnesiac.
Right.
He falls under the sway of an arms dealer. Hope and her friends are like, we have to help this guy. And when they bring him back to Utopia, Emma and Cyclops are like, what the fuck?
That's good.
And they throw him back in the brig. And Hope is like, what the fuck? So Hope goes and reads his file and is like, okay, he did help create the Sentinels. He did help create Dark Phoenix. He did try to kill my dad a bunch. But aren't we all about second chances or whatever? So she lets him out of prison.
I mean, it's almost exactly the Magneto defense. It's like,
it is. Yeah. It's
no
like, this
longer
isn't the same
man.
guy,
Yeah.
right? Like, you can't be punishing this amnesiac guy who has heroically helped us for what he did before you mind wiped him. That's not really cool to do. And so he becomes an official member of Hope's team for the rest of that book and just walks around shirtless doing heroic stuff. And looking sexy, and it's just weird. This is a weird era in the history of the X-Men.
X-Men.
Basically, Joseph, the clone of Magneto, has gone crazy and is impersonating Magneto, and then suddenly his head gets chopped off from behind.
She always knows how to have an entrance, that dramatic entrance.
Yes.
I love it.
And they go, holy shit, Betsy, what the fuck? And she says, in Japanese, I am trying to remember you, X-Men. I am nothing.
That's not Betsy.
And Juggernaut goes, I didn't know you were going to kill him. And Havoc goes, we didn't do that. She's not with us.
X-Men.
Madeline never, to me, feels especially like Jean.
No, never. Not at all. Not even in her early appearances. Basically, he sees her and then they open up on a scene that's just those two dancing, right? And they're having this like whirlwind romance moment. And of course, Scott is being Scott and being like, I can't tell her secrets.
But he does in that first scene, which I think is really important.
Yeah. He's honest with her in a way that he isn't with Jean pretty much ever, because like it takes forever for him to be honest with Jean because Jean is terrifying. So
and Jean is never that honest with him either.
Yeah,
is the thing.
I know.
Like, he doesn't find out that Corsair's his dad until after Jean's dead because Jean didn't tell him because Corsair asked her not to.
Yeah. She's like, I'll give my loyalty to you, random space pirate guy. This is just my boyfriend. Like, we don't need to tell him shit.
Scott continues to brood and think.
Yes, staring into space. Why do I keep questioning? Why am I trying to destroy us? This is a good question you need to ask yourself, Scott. She's the sole survivor of a plane crash that occurred at the precise instant that Jean died on the moon. From the moment we met, she seemed to know me better than I do myself. Yeah, you don't know yourself that well, though. So, like, I mean, come on.
She just, like, figured out who you were pretty quick because you're not that complicated, is the thing.
It's like, oh, you seem troubled. And he's like, are you reading my mind?
And then he's like, my fiance died. And she's like, wow, I bet that made you really upset. And he's like mind
how do
reader.
you understand? You're Jean Grey reincarnated, I swear.
X-Men.
Scott brings Madeline to Wolverine's wedding to Mariko Yoshida. Charles has brought Lilandra as his date, and Lilandra turns and goes, Sharon, can have mercy? And she suddenly manifests a lightsaber and runs toward Madeline to kill her.
The Shi'ar versus anyone who even looks a little bit like Jean, they see a redhead and they think murder.
And they panic.
No.
Not doing that again. We're nipping this in the bud right now. So Colossus restrains her at Charles's orders, and Lilandra apologizes. And she's like, I just automatically reacted. And Madeline, in her yellow sundress and matching hat, is just looking at them all like, man, my life has gotten so weird suddenly.
Yeah, people like want to kill me.
Madeline rolls with it.
Yeah.
She, like, it's weird. This is a weird situation.
She's way too game with this stuff at a certain point.
But anyway, Scott says, these are my best friends, Madeline. I hope you like them. And Maddie says, I'm sure I shall, as much as they like me. And Scott starts talking to Charles.
Yes. Then you see kind of this pally-wally, like, jovial Scott, which I love. Like, we don't see this guy enough.
Even though they were all a little startled at first, they like Madeline, which makes him happy.
Yes, he's so
feeling really at
happy
ease because he was
here.
nervous about bringing this girl, especially because she looks so much like Jean.
Yes.
He thought they would be weird about it. Lilandra was weird, but mostly
Yes.
everyone's being nice.
Yes, Lilandra was a little weird with the attempted murder.
X-Men.
Basically, there's this New Mutants character, not the classic New Mutants that people care about, the New Mutants who will eventually become Academy X. There's this character, Wither.
The saddest software ever.
He has basically Rogue's power, but worse. And so when he touches things, they decay. So when M-Day hits and all of these kids have been depowered, Wither assumes he's been depowered and is overjoyed and grabs Lori Wallflower to celebrate and withers her arm into like a zombie skeleton arm.
Everyone's like, what the fuck? Why did you do that?
Why did you do that? Maybe check on like an apple before you touch a person?
Yeah.
He is devastated and runs away from the mansion. And he encounters a weird old lady who's just like, hey, cutie. And then suddenly she encourages him to kill people and he gets into it. And then she turns into Celine and starts making out with him. And he's like, this is the best thing ever because she is not decayed by his touch. Now, the age gap between 17,000 and 18 is obviously problematic. But, just to be clear, Celine is evil. So I don't think we're supposed to see this as a good development. She thinks it's cool that he can just touch people and kill them. She likes powers that kill people. So she's like, cool, hot, into it.
Yeah.
Also, I can manipulate you into a soldier in my army.
X-Men.
My queen, Celine. It is funny to me that I did do with Krakoa Welcomes an entire week of Celine TikToks leading up to this big splashy issue, only to discover that it was her big splashy death scene. I know people are going to wonder if I'm upset that her plan didn't work. And here's the thing, guys. I don't like Celine because she makes plans well or they usually turn out well. The funniest thing about Celine is how bad she is at making things happen. Necrotia, she notably becomes a god and is immediately killed seconds later. But here's the thing. Again, in the Age of Krakoa, and particularly with an external, I'm not super concerned.
I mean, she's a vampire queen, as you say.
She's the vampire queen. She's a goddess. She's fine. She's brought herself back without Hope's help many a time. I'm not super worried about her future, but how dare you?
It was rude.
It was extremely rude to give my queen a little arc to begin your book and then shoot her in the head with Mysterium. I found that rude.
She did such a good speech in issue 1.
I know.
I would vote for her.
Because here's the thing, as they all agreed, she made a valid point.
X-Men.
Celine wants to become a god. She's sick and tired of all of this, oh, we worship you as a goddess shit. She's like, no. I would like to literally be a deity. She can do that by absorbing at least 1 million mutant souls in one nosh. And she needs a knife. This ritual knife that she needs is made from her mother's bones. The first time that Celine wanted to do this little gimmick, she was going to devour all the souls in Rome. So she sends Eli Bard, ultimate simp, you need to paint all these sigils around Rome, then I can just activate them and just suck everybody down in one go.
Like an oyster shooter.
And he was like, cool, I'm into it, you're so fucking hot, I'm in. But then he sees this little girl, he feels bad about it, and so he tells the child, get your family and get out tonight because something bad is going to happen here in Rome. And the little girl tells her father, who tells the authorities. The authorities tie them up to burn them at the stake. Celine wakes up and is just like, wow, I asked you to do one fucking thing. So she kills everybody because, you thought you were going to set me on fire? We're going to have a Celine flambe? That's not happening, babies. And then she turns Eliphas into a vampire using some kind of sorcery and then says to him, you're immortal now and I reject you. You will never see me again. Suffer for the rest of time. He's just simping on the sidelines for literally thousands of years. And when they find each other again, she's like, well, I suppose you could try to make yourself useful.
X-Men.
She assembles her death team, right?
Yes.
For the theme party.
Eli Bard, ultimate simp, gives Caliban to Celine as a gift and is like, this guy is a mutant who can track other mutants, so he can find all of the power you need. And she's like, well, all right, you can come back to my side, but you can't fuck me. Just FYI, it's not happening. Eli's like, it's okay, I love you. I'm just gonna hang out. So then she travels the globe, gathering her own inner circle. They are all people with death touch, basically. So first it's Wither. When he touches things, they decay. Then she gets Senyaka, who's an acolyte that you don't have to worry about, but he has
death whips,
vampiric whips that can suck your soul out. Mortis, who is Dazzler's sister. This is a real fucking deep pull. She has literally just a death touch. She touches you and you die. That's her power. Mm-hmm. And then truly just to fuck with Emma, Celine gets on a cruise ship. She and Eliphas go into the middle of the fucking sea to the place where she can feel the essence of Blink, who died in Phalanx Covenant to save Emma and all of the Gen X kids.
The whole panel, she's like, feeling the wind.
She's just like, I sense that child that Emma failed to save is here somewhere, and pulls her out of the air and reconstitutes her molecules, and Blink just starts like screaming and screaming.
Blink is kind of a loose interpretation of teleportation death. Okay, well, the theme...
It's a reach, but here's the thing about Celine. She will make you fit the theme. So she's like, well, she's a teleporter, but like, can you kill people by touching them?
Yeah.
Okay, that fits. We'll take it.
And
the whips aren't really the same thing either, but she's like, it's fine. It's like a death touch thing is the theme. The theme is death touch. Talk amongst yourselves. Figure out how you can fit the theme.
she's like, I'm leaving the room for 10
That's
minutes.
why Caliban doesn't get a cute little outfit. Like, he doesn't get to be part of the club because he doesn't have a death touch power.
X-Men.
It turns out that Black Tom
they're running around
has
with
been
this little
raising
teenager.
his secret niece. Siren is Banshee's long-lost daughter, and she is wearing a facsimile of Banshee's costume that has been feminized, designed presumably by Black Tom just to fuck with Sean, which I think is really
It's a power move.
So anyway, she's joined them on their crime spree and tangles with Spider-Woman. But after this immediate arc ends, Black Tom's like, no, we did this. She is innocent. You know?
He does care about her. And he's like, I can't get her like in juvie or in jail or whatever. So I'm going to say it wasn't her fault. Like, take her to meet her dad.
She didn't like doing it. It
Yeah.
was me. I convinced her to do it.
Which, true.
Which, like, yes.
Yeah.
Then he gives her a letter. Like, I have a letter from your cousin. And he's like, oi, a letter from Black Tom. What nonsense could he be up to? It explains, like, I lied to you and didn't tell you that Maeve was pregnant, and you have a daughter who I've been raising. Oops, sorry. And here she is.
X-Men.
Magic's like, I shouldn't even be here with all of you. And Gossamer, like, already spinning little Gossamer threads, like,
It's like,
grouchy,
true.
Isn't she?
True, and you can
leave. God, yeah.
If you want to leave, you could leave.
Oh, no, it sounds like your vibes are bad. It's
it
limbo.
sounds
It sounds like
unfun
bimbo. It
to
sounds like
me.
you, kind of. I don't know. We just met. Whatever.
I'm not like saying that you're a dumb bitch, but I'm thinking it.
I don't know. Has anyone else picked up that like Magic has like bad vibes?
Just like a bad energy.
Just like a negative energy that she brings into a room. And it's like not jealous because like I'm used to jealous.
I'm not jealous of them because obviously I'm hotter than they are, but like...
Yeah, and it's just like, it wouldn't be a competition because I'd win. Like,
no,
you know?
like, duh.
Duh.
Obviously.
And you know that, right, Bobby?
I'm fucking this Brazilian millionaire now, and like, I don't know what Brazil is because I'm an alien, but
Yeah.
I feel like they're jealous.
I feel like they're jealous of me, and I feel like they're jealous of you, kind of.
I feel like you're hot and they're jealous, and I'm hotter than all of you, and
they're jealous of
like
how
super
hot we
jealous
look
of me, and we're so
together.
hot together, and they're just
And
very
it
jealous.
just makes me feel bad for them.
I was actually bullied so much in Space High School because I was so pretty, and it was.
And then like girls would see like their men fighting over me, and I was like, I didn't do that.
I didn't do
I didn't
that.
I'm just trying to live
I just
my
have
life.
perfect triangular Brett Blevins boobs. It's not my fault.
It's not my fault that my navel is so crystal clear and milky, and my titties stick out this way.
It's not my fault that I have skin like alabaster and weird translucent wings.
I know, but she's ill-tempered, isn't she?
If you are not a subscriber to patreon.com/cerebrocast, $5 a month, the house is Alien tier, you can get exclusive access to the Cerebro Appendix episode on Gossamer.
Give Connor your money. Don't be weird, just do it.
X-Men.
Because the adversary is like an end-all reality or whatever, Destiny grabs her gold mask and is like, this is the end of all that is! She throws the mask onto the ground.
Old
It's
lady-
like her
old
old lady
lady
face.
Destiny.
Whenever Destiny is like, here's my old lady face, like shit's gotten
Shit's
real.
gone to the
Yeah.
fan. Dazzler does this like flash. Just a thing Dazzler always does. Flashes people in the face. Spiral's pissed.
Spiral's pissed.
Spiral's pissed.
Don't fucking blind me. I hate that.
That's one of my least favorite things, and we all know that.
And Dazzler's like, I've never met you.
I don't know who you are. And so Spiral gets up, grabs Destiny's mask,
the mask, and shoves the mask onto Allie's face.
and then stabs a fucking knife into her face.
A final touch to make the spell complete. And Dazzler goes,
And Betsy like comes over into her and like, what the fuck? And like Spiral is literally like, oh my God, it's a magic sword. What's the big deal?
Come on, it's what I do.
There was a moment where like everyone's like, okay, we have to stop fighting each other. Something bigger is obviously going on. Sparrow's like, oh my God, fine, I'll heal her fucking knife face. But there's so much like
The
ambient
reality
magic
cancer
shit.
that's happening
Yeah.
from the adversary.
And she was like,
she can't undo it. And
she's
she
like,
goes, oh, shit.
I can't fix her
Like,
knife
sorry.
face.
And everyone's like, wait, take the mask off. She's like, I'm
like,
trying, but it's
actually can't
not working.
do it.
And then she just teleports away and it's like, not my problem.
Sorry, I stab bitches all the time. I love her so much.
X-Men.
Oh goodness, Dark X-Men. Norman Osborn has taken over the government and is serving as the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. and superhuman operations after Secret Invasion. There is a Dark Avengers that has formed.
We're after the decimation now, to be clear.
Yes, the X-Men are in Utopia, and Norman Osborn has his fingers in every pie, and now he wants to have his own version of X-Men. He's allied himself with Namor and Emma Frost and Mystique and Dark Beast.
Emma's secretly spying for Cyclops, but it looks like Emma's betrayed us. And then, yeah, hilariously, Mystique poses as Jean Grey, who at this time is dead, which is extremely funny, just to troll them. She also is like, I'm Charles Xavier sometimes, but the funniest is when she's like, hi, I'm Jean Grey, representing Norman Osborn's X-Men. Everybody's like, you fucking bitch. You're a bitch for this, Mystique.
And Osborn's like, give me a group of pliable people that I can control. And on the list are Cloak and Dagger and Mimic and Weapon Omega, who we have to talk about for a minute. I hear you.
X-Men.
Necra is the priestess of hate. She has kind
Batty
of a
bitch queen.
vampire-y look. She's chalk white.
Crucial vital distinction. Necra's full black.
But chalk.
Ghost white. Like the palest skinned black girl you've ever seen.
Right. And I think at this point is when it just starts to get mega racist. So I'm going to let Jordan lead.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. A mandrel idol clutches at the sky. A woman dances and tongues the hellish flame. She is Necra, priestess of darkness.
Hate, my sisters! Hate gives me the power to walk unshod on a carpet of fire!
The power to resist all who would stand in my way. Our way. I love this bitch. Hate is the puissance supreme. The moon. Hate is the puissance supreme. Baby, in the name of the mandrel, cry hate.
And prone before the idol, the women respond in unholy litany. Hate.
Our leader is in prison. He must be freed. Not Angela Davis in drag. And free him we shall. So are we sworn. But first, death must come to the woman who captured him. Death most brutal. Death most foul. And most importantly, death at the hands of Necra. Shanna O'Hara must perish by the power of hate. Hate! 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 Behold my
I'm sorry. This issue rules. This issue rules.
X-Men.
Nurse Annie Gazakanian is a human nurse of Armenian descent, and Nurse Annie then becomes our viewpoint character into the mansion because she doesn't know much about mutants besides what she gathered from her abusive ex-husband or boyfriend. Bobby has been having that problem with his powers. Parts of him are turning to ice and he can't turn them back.
Yeah.
When he reveals that to her and how he's all dismayed about it, she says, "You're a racist." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "You don't like visible mutants because you're so afraid you're going to become one." And that goes to show that you aren't really down like for your people because you only want to be a mutant if you can hide it. You know, it's interesting. Jerry Duggan recently wrote a spotlight issue for him. And in that one, he talks about how he likes to be all iced up when he's doing appearances and stuff because he thinks it's important to show that for young mutants. He's also talking about being a gay role model in this story and, you know, whatever. All I could think was, this is because Annie Gazakanian told him he was a homophobe and a racist, you know? Because it's like, oh my God, no, wait, but I'm gay and a mutant.
Yeah.
Is she right? Because she's kind of right. I should probably assess, like, myself.
That was definitely the case. It came from the idea that bigotry is a learned behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby's parents had been previously established in continuity to have been bigots. So yeah, the idea that he would have learned that behavior even subconsciously was something that I wanted to play with a little bit. So you're telling me it's worked out in the long run, but in the short term, I think my stuff was a little too psychotherapic.
And I think part of it is that month to month, a lot of the time, your stories are just like what just happened here? But then if you look at them as a whole, I do think that you have character arcs that are relationship arcs that do make a lot of sense.
X-Men.
We are here to talk about Celine.
I'm very nervous about what kind of voice you're going to give her because I will not stop giggling.
She's so stupid, but like in the best possible way.
Well, this supremely powerful being that's been alive for 17,000 years is friends with like Apocalypse. And then you get to like the comics and you're like, what is happening?
She mostly just like drinks wine and is a bitch. But you know what? I love that for her.
She's a bitch. She likes to suck people's life energy and then loves like a costume theme party. She loves a theme.
No one loves a theme like Celine. Celine invented the theme party actually in 15,000 BC.
Yes.
And it's been the same theme ever since, which is hot sluts. And here's the thing. If I were 17,000 years old, I too would be pretty bored of doing anything but having parties.
She's just like, you know what? I think I want to go have like a little party called Novaroma.
Celine's crisis era of like, I'm trying to like be single for a minute. I just ate my ex-boyfriend and I'm going through it, you know, and then she just decides, you know what was great? Ancient Rome.
Can we go back?
So Nova Roma is a secret civilization in the Brazilian jungle. It is the home of Magma, a character who sucks. She is... We'll get to her someday.
Celine and you will agree on that.
Yeah, well, she's very disappointing to Celine because she's actually Celine's granddaughter and Celine finds her enormously whack and is just like, how? And it's like, you're a third generation boss bitch, except you suck. And that's very disappointing to me as your evil immortal grandmother.
You are many levels of X-gene nepotism, and this is the best you could do. And it was like,
she got nothing going on. Maybe Celine has an Italian accent.
Maybe.
Mamma mia, my granddaughter.
You know, I think Celine is actually probably close to Dorit.
I mean, she's lived so many places for so many centuries that I feel like her accent would be completely indecipherable at this point. That's absolutely right. And I'm now going to do a Dorit voice for Celine for the rest of the podcast. It's Celine!
X-Men.
It turns out, like, Zorn is explaining this casually to Professor Xavier. He's like, oh, well, I tried to make us renounce her religion because I think that her faith in Islam above her faith in her own species is regressive or whatever. And Professor Xavier's like, what? That's really inappropriate. This is, I mean, like, he should have noticed this probably a while ago, but it is at least a testament to Charles as an educator, I guess. And he's like, doesn't feel like something we should do at my school.
I mean, I don't want to say it's a testament to Charles and Xavier. Like, I would just like, he's worried that there'll be a hashtag that sprung out of it.
It's about to be a lawsuit.
The Defamation League is going to be called up.
He's like, we only just got formally accredited a month ago after my evil sister outed us to the world. And now you're going to get the Department of Education down on my ass?
Like, Emma just gave everybody an orgasm. Now this? Not this.
And then he walks in and there's a million Magneto was right posters on the walls in the classroom that's like, okay, and these are really inappropriate to have in your classroom. And so then Zorn reveals the truth that he is actually Magneto.
Quick reveal.
This is immediately after the story retconned by Marvel, so that Zorn was just an imposter who went crazy and thought he was Magneto.
And also was a twin.
Don't worry about it. We're going to get into it someday. God help me. I will have to do a Zorn episode. Today is not that day.
X-Men.
The way Alan Davis renders Jamie's power is remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
He looks directly at the reader and says, I feel happy. The backdrop is a sickly yellow, and all around him are pink threads. Behold a broken man in the process of putting himself back together. A puppet whose strings have just been cut, casting him loose upon the world. And it's worth noting that the way Jamie now stands and holds himself, he walks at weird angles. He holds his head at, like, he does look like a marionette that has been broken. The world he perceives is not quite the one we do. I feel happy. It's a world made of string, filaments of energy so fragile they seem to snap at the merest touch, and we see him reach out and break some of the strings, only to then miraculously reform and renew themselves immediately thereafter. A veritable puzzlement. So he stands stock still to sort it out. I feel happy. And then TechNet try to apprehend him, and he instinctively, believing that he is in a dream, wrecks the absolute shit out of all of them.
There's like 15 things I would say Claremont is like the pioneer for in superhero comics, but I think one of the big ones is these really kind of bravura sequences of a bunch of people that you know are powerful and that you like getting just their asses kicked.
Yeah, this is very reminiscent of when Shaw beats the shit out of the X-Men in Dark Phoenix Saga, actually.
I think it's so funny that TechNet is functionally fine at the end of this.
Yeah, he doesn't kill any of them, including like Bodybag, who it looks like he kills, and they're all like, holy shit. She's fine and like eating a can of paint at the end of the issue.
Yeah.
X-Men.
Betsy Braddock's bionic eyes that Mojo and Spiral put in her head after she gets her eyes ripped out by Slaymaster are cameras that Mojo and Spiral use to film as a reality show all of the adventures of the X-Men, which becomes the biggest show in the Mojoverse because all they do all day is watch issues
were
of the
watching
X-Men.
fucking Betsy Vision.
Like, Kanan rips out the eyeballs because she's like, why are there robot eyeballs in my head? Because no one's explained it to Kanan. She's on Betsy's body and she's like, bitch, why are my eyeballs made of metal? And she rips them out. And Spiral
pissed.
is so pissed
Spiral's
because she's watching.
Thank you.
And her stories got interrupted.
Thank you. She's watching her telenovela.
Because that is the thing, guys. So, like, this is a plot that happens in 1986. Annie Nocenti and Chris Claremont they're so fucking smart. This is before the real world. This is before any of that shit.
Ugh. Oh my God. Spiral's impact.
X-Men.
Mystique always has like a 10-page plan. And now sometimes it's a real crazy plan. Like, I've become a teenage student at the Institute so that I can seduce Gambit to break up Gambit and Rogue because I don't approve of him for my daughter. That's insane, but it is a plan. Lady Mastermind never really has a plan.
Well, I mean, if either of the ladies Mastermind had plans, that's when
we'd be screwed, right? No, they're too powerful to have plans. Like, they have to be stupid because they're too powerful. There's a great Daredevil issue where Martinique is the bad guy because Arcade tricked her. Arcade told her that Wolverine had killed Miss Locke, his assistant, and it turns out that Arcade actually killed her himself, and Martinique's like, you tricked me. So she turns on him and steals all his stuff. So then she pops up in Daredevil and she lures him to Coney Island, where it turns out Arcade has a practice murder world, and she uses her illusions in concert with Murder World to make him relive all of these like bad things in his past. Witness Bullseye killing Elektra again, and like, you can only save Foggy or Elektra, and he saves Foggy. Foggy's like, why'd you save me, Matt? And he's like, because Elektra's already dead, so that was obviously not real. Also, it's like, witness this, but it's like he's blind.
I mean,
she's like, watch, and it's like, it doesn't quite.
She's like, oh, fuck.
But that's a great example of like a lady mastermind, like, not really thinking it through, right? Like, her great game plan is to force the blind superhero to watch these traumatic memories.
And then, like we said, there's no plan. There's never a plan B.
No, she just slips out the back again. It's very Team Rocket.
No,
looks like the ladies mastermind are blasting off again.
X-Men.
Selene resurrects Doug Ramsey specifically so that she can give him a crowbar and have him go beat Magma to death with a crowbar. And I think it's like Beto like rounds the corner and just sees like Doug pulling Amara by the hair, and he's just holding a crowbar. And he's like, what the fuck is this? What's going on? And they're all like, Doug? And Doug's like, yes, I am. I serve Selene. And it's like this whole fucking thing. Literally, she's just like, so my flop granddaughter's still at it. I'm going to send her friend specifically to kill her. Petty. I just like that you could be 17,000 and that petty. She sends Sink and Skin to go after Emma also. Like, she's just real mean. And it's funny.
There's a little bit of like shit posting that goes on with Selene. Like, Selene
is absolutely shit posting all the time. Selene is just walking around like, what would be funny? What could I do that would be hilarious to me specifically? Like, that's really all that she is interested in doing.
X-Men.
They're sort of saying to Emma and Selene, like, you gotta choose between us. And it's like, instantly, they're like, Magneto.
They both pick Magneto. Emma says to Selene, do you really think, like, Shaw will let you maintain your holdings in the Amazon jungle if he yada, yada, yada? And she's like, ooh, Nova Roma, that does matter to me. Selene's like, I never really liked you to begin with. And then they both are just sort of, like, fawning over Magneto like a Frazetta painting, and Shaw is banished from the Hellfire Club.
And Shaw goes immediately to the Nimrod. And
yes!
Where he's like, all right, you want to fuck me?
I'm gonna fuck you right back. So he goes to Senator Kelly and is like, hey, I want to launch the Hunter Project that we had talked about. Now, Nimrod, for people who are unfamiliar, is the mighty hunter of the Bible. It became known as a word for a stupid person because of Bugs Bunny cartoons. Ironically calls Elmer Fudd Nimrod as a joke about how Elmer Fudd is not a good hunter.
How am I ever gonna catch that screwy duck?
Precisely what I was wondering, my little Nimrod.
X-Men.
One of my favorite things about Mike Carey's run is after Necrotia, when Rogue gets to talk to Destiny.
We so rarely get to see that on panel.
Yeah, well, because she died before Rogue was that major a character. Rogue's like, oh my god, Mom, you're alive. And Destiny's like, unfortunately, it's not going to last. I can already see it.
I know.
I only have one day.
And 2 pages, apparently.
But they get to talk, and Destiny gets to be like, I'm so proud of you. And it's a moment in time where Rogue and Mystique are very estranged.
Yeah. Because of that whole Mystique shooting her and then almost killing the mutant messiah.
Right, and that time Mystique stabbed her in the gut and almost killed her because she was mad about the time that Rogue didn't break her out of prison. And then there was that time that she tried to seduce Gambit so that she could break up Rogue and Gambit because she thought that Gambit wasn't good for Rogue. Mm-hmm. There was a lot going on in that period with the two of them, so I think that it was good for Rogue to get a chance to talk to Irene because due to the fact that Mystique and Destiny's relationship wasn't allowed to be explicit in the 80s, you never got to see Rogue talk to Irene as though Irene was her mother. And so it was just really nice to get that moment, even if it was brief.
X-Men.
Where does she keep Sailor Moon's wand when she's not wanding?
Her henshin wand turns into a brooch or something, doesn't it?
No, she just has it when she needs it.
You're right.
At least in season 3, yeah.
Starting in S, for sure, she just does the hand thing and then it spins into her hand.
But it comes from nowhere. It doesn't.
Well, but again, it's fucking magic. Don't make me defend Usagi Tsukino in this house because I will.
Oh my god. We're in the middle of season 3. We're about to find out the talismans.
Season 2, they were running to catch up because they got ahead of the manga, and that's why it's not, that. Well, I'm a subs purist anyway, unless it's Cowboy Bebop. We're really off topic now.
We're talking about how magic works.
It's Weeb Hour now. I mean, Juggernaut did get a magic jewel that turned him into the Juggernaut.
Yeah,
so
he's basically
this is form and content.
X-Men.
Rogue is a Dazzler fan, but doesn't know Dazzler's a mutant, and then finds out not only is Dazzler a mutant, she can control her power, and
people love her.
And the billionaire, beautiful, gorgeous, model-looking guy, she's dating him. I fucking hate her. I'm going to destroy her. And so then when they're on the team together...
Allison's always calling her Sugar. Like, Sugar?
Yeah, just mocking her accent. Then Rogue catches Dazzler destroying Danger Room holograms of Rogue.
Yes.
And Rogue's like, what the hell's all this then? Dazzler's like, I'm sorry, did you forget about the part where you tried to kill me 6 times?
X-Men.
Juggernaut and Black Tom have a new scheme.
Are you going to talk about Madam Web?
I am going to talk about Madam Web.
Let's try that again.
We were talking about Madam Web. Madam Web. She sees the future. Right. She sits in a web chair. She can't move.
She's a mutant,
she's useful. Which is useful, but not that useful in terms of protecting her from the Juggernaut. Black Tom's decided we're just going to keep this old lady in our house and ask her questions about the future, which, by the way, homosexual behavior.
Juggernaut's just so grumpy in this comic.
Well, he wants to fuck in their apartment. Yeah. He doesn't want this old biddy sitting around going, the web of the future spins towards me. And it's like, no, Madam Web, I'm trying to get my...
It is so grumpy, but the comic is just Juggernaut walking through New York in a straight line as poor Spider-Man tries to stop him with
the funniest thing is he doesn't really get the life support chair thing, so he just yanks her out of it and carries her away, and she's like, I am now dying, by the way.
Right. And he's like, this is boring. I don't want you to die.
You're not portable? That's my whole plan here, is I was supposed to come get you.
He's like, okay,
he's just well, never mind. That's a lot more trouble than I thought this was going to be.
X-Men.
For $5 a month at patreon.com/RebootCast, you can get exclusive access to the secret files. When they comp it to Batman and Robin in the reviews, I think that's just shorthand from straight people for it's campy and I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't think straight men should be allowed to review Madam Web. For the most part, the movie knows what it wants to do, and what it wants to do is be a fun teen slasher movie starring the Powerpuff Girls and Dakota Johnson.
You have to trust me.
X-Men.
We cut to Rogue, who is tempted and briefly takes off her gloves and is like, I could touch Belladonna right now, and I would get all of her memories of being in love with Gambit and touching Gambit and loving on Gambit. No, Rogue, you cannot. That would be wrong. And that's her dilemma, is she's just sitting with Belladonna this whole time. What if I touched her and learned what it's like to fuck Gambit? But I can't, actually. That would be so wrong.
It's very 90s Melrose Place.
It's soapy as hell, yeah. But all Rogue does for a while is sit with the comatose wife of her boyfriend and take her gloves off, put them back on, take them off. It would be so easy.
But I also love that she's just by herself.
Well, Taunt Maddie leaves her alone. To be fair, I don't think Taunt Maddie knows what Rogue's power is or how it works or any of that. But like, it's still like, I wouldn't leave her alone with the wife. I just wouldn't. The unconscious wife, who has tried to kill her, by the way. Like, I simply wouldn't do that. Rogue reaches out to touch Belladonna and like absorb her memories and then goes, no, Lord, what was I thinking? How selfish could I be to even think of absorbing her memories? In her condition, there's no telling what it'd do to her. I'm sorry, Belle. I'll never. And then Belladonna suddenly reaches out and grabs Rogue's hand.
Yeah, just as a reflex.
So, without assassinating Rogue's character, the story does give her all of Belladonna's memories in the same way that she once took them from Carol Danvers.
Mm-hmm.
It's an aspect to Rogue and Gambit's relationship that ends up getting downplayed over time because they make enough memories of their own. Initially, it's like, what feelings are Rogue's and what feelings are the ones that she accidentally took from Belladonna?
Mm-hmm.
X-Men.
So, the Starjammers help the X-Men fight the Imperial Guard. Jean immediately is like, how weird that this guy who's a space pirate has an American accent.
Curious.
Classic Jean. She just starts reading his mind.
Oh, yeah. Well, this took no time at all.
Not at all.
As soon as she had the thought, she was like, this is clearly my business.
Yeah, like Scott and Corsair are shaking hands. So Jean immediately hops in his brain. No, it can't be, but okay. Scott, no, it is him. And so she enters the crystal and she calls him Christopher. And he's like, excuse me?
Ooh. Oh, sorry, I've been running up and down your head, girl.
And he says, you know my name? How?
I'll explain later, I'm mad nosy.
See you, folks. That is, if this stunt of mine works. If it doesn't, look after Cyclops for me, Corsair. He's the man I love. But he's also your firstborn son. Cyclops is unconscious at this point. And Storm, by the way, is just watching this whole thing. But Jean is like, don't tell Scott.
Oh, right.
and she doesn't.
You know Storm was in this ship later like, girl, what
the hell was that
guess
about?
What the fuck I just heard?
Can you explain this to me?
You know she was like itching to spill that tea.
X-Men.
They're watching the wedding of Vulcan and Deathbird
Uh-huh.
on like Shi'ar
And
Holo
Hepzibah
television.
is fucking disgusted.
The idea that her stepson
That
she
is
didn't
marrying
know about
a
until today,
bird.
but her stepson is marrying the Bird Empress?
Oh, she is like
the royal family. She stresses, ugh, the royal family, Chris's son, that's disgusting. She literally hisses. It says
She's
hiss.
like,
Warpath goes, can you freaking believe this shit? It's like they're Charles and Lady Di out here or something.
right? Exactly. Oh, I married into a family of bird fuckers,
She goes,
apparently.
Lady Death?
Lady
She
Death.
also doesn't know who Lady Di is. So
No,
she's like,
exactly.
please use references I understand.
Lady Di, more like Lady Death.
More like I'm going to kill that bitch.
Also, like, next scene you get after this is storming this royal wedding. And I just, like, love the idea of Hepzibah running in, fuck bird love! You want to be happy? Not on my watch.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
This is sick! My stepson and the Bird Empress? No!
Get your fucking talons off of
Get your
him!
talons off of him! That's my son!
Met him today.
She does not know this man, and he's evil.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like,
Evil.